T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. Welcome to Talk Reptile Podcast. I'm your boy, MJ. What is good? If this is your first time tapping in, do your boy a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe. Woo! Clearly, I just snapped a huge bong load before I just did this, so I'm sorry, but let me repeat. Smash that subscribe button. That way you're on top of every single podcast that I drop here on this channel. It's all reptile related. If you're into keeping reptiles, breeding, keeping, just admiring, then this is the podcast to follow. If you listen to me on the other audio platforms such as Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, Spotify, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to those platforms as well. Thank you for listening to me and the guests, more importantly, and spending your life with us, man. This is great. I love this. If you're here and you're for the long run like I am, and you're passionate like I am, then I'm excited that you're here with me. Or if you're just here to learn, either way. But what is good with everyone out there? Shout out to everyone in the early birds. The early birds is cracking right now. Okay, guys, I got to tell you right now, it is cracking right now in the early birds. I'm going to get to you guys in just a second. But I got to say, man, I'm very excited to tell you who tonight's sponsor is. Okay, got a very new, something really exciting, some very new news to tell you guys. Okay, new sponsor alert. All right, we have somebody who just recently picked up a sponsorship. We just had a couple spaces open up and already filled. Okay, so here we go. We have to give it up to the one and only man himself. Shout out to Gary Shavino over at GS Reptiles. Man, listen, I admire and I adore every single one of my sponsors. Just never saw this coming. Not gonna lie, this is amazing, guys. I gotta tell you right now, if you're into reptiles, period, you need to go over to YouTube. Go subscribe to this man's YouTube channel. Hands down, one of my favorite YouTubers in the reptile industry. One thing that me and Jason are going to talk about is how, there is so much fakeness going on in YouTube, and it's kind of cringy to watch. Well, guess what? Gary has blessed us with some authentic, real deal content that we could really appreciate on YouTube. So head over to YouTube right now, guys. GS Reptiles on YouTube. Go subscribe. All around amazing shit that you could catch. And then also, please go give him a follow on Instagram, okay? Head over to Instagram and give Gary a follow. GS Reptiles. This guy is dialed in with chondros, savu pythons, and he has experience just keeping, emerald tree boas for basins. I mean, as northerns, can't forget he's, roommates with Mice Man Clay. I don't know what Mice Man pays on a monthly basis, but you just don't want to miss the content that comes from GS Reptiles. This is why I'm so, over the top excited for this. I mean, this guy is literally one of my favorite content creators when it comes to learning about reptile shit. This is amazing. So Gary, thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you so much for being a part of the family. He's also one of my Patreon members. So that's being said, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to be tapped in to some amazing exclusive content that's not going to be fully released here on YouTube, okay? You're going to want to go down to the very first link that you see and click the Trap Talk Patreon family, especially if you want to support me in what I do, because I do this for a full time. If you want to support me also, then become a part of the Trap Talk Patreon family. I'm telling you, come fuck with us. We're all long-term keepers. We're all about this. We all have fun. I got to tell you right now, it's all about the fun and it's all about growing. And this family is growing by the day. I love all my Patreon members. Thank you so much for being a part of this growth. And yeah, see you all at the top. It's going to be amazing. Now, I got to tell you, once you become a part of the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord. Discord will tap you in with over 150 trappers, and it's nonstop popping in that Discord. It's all love. It's amazing. And then also, just to give you guys a more of an insight, dude, a lot of special stuff coming to the Patreon, okay? When I say special, like exclusive stuff. So jump on there while you can. Thank you for all the love and support. And I got to say, tonight's going to be awesome. Okay. Who's ready to rock and roll? Oh, yeah. Last but not least, head over to my website, please, trappodcast.com. If you want to stay on top of what I have going on my other YouTube channel, I have a couple different YouTube channels, but head over to trappodcast.com and check out my vlog. I have a vlog YouTube channel, which, guys, I'm not going to lie, I got a lot of stuff happening with me right now. Exciting stuff, which reminds me, guys, do me a favor. If you want to know what I have some exciting news to tell you guys. I don't want to say it right now. I'm going to do it after the show. So if you want to know what that is, it's all positive. If you want to hear some positive stuff for MJ, then hang tight after the show and we're going to talk more about it. But for now, just head over to YouTube, go follow the Trap Vlogs on YouTube, and just, head over to my website. You can also go cop some trap merch. I'm not going to lie. I'm very limited on sizes right now because I did sell a shit ton of shirts at the Reptile Super Show in Pomona. What a great time that was. Not gonna lie, vending was one of the best times I've ever had in this industry, hands down. But yeah, head over to my website, trappodcast.com. Appreciate all the love and support. And who's ready to rock and roll, man? Damn, how many fucking people? By the way, they're all super chats, guys. Don't be shy with the super chats. And I gotta tell you right now, super chats will get your topic, get your question on the big screen. All right, especially if you remember something that you just want to ask this Jason or myself. Drop a super chat. Don't be shy. Let's get them cracking. What is good? Who's here? Who's ready to rock and roll? Dom, 702 Serpents in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Thanks for tapping in. The homie Wes, Sunshine State Sulfurs. What is good? Thanks for tapping in, Wes. Cottonmouth like a motherfucker. Serpent Eclipse, my boy Adler in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member. By the way, Wes, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Bionic Benning is a homie. What is up, player? Thanks for tapping in. The homie Ro 5.0, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. And he has some heat coming from the trap. Damn, my dog right here. Tap in with my boy Ro. Don't sleep on my man Ro. The homie Levi, FTL Reptiles in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Thanks for tapping in. Brian Heath and Hatchery, Trap Talk Patreon member. Trap Talk management team. It's my dog right here. Thanks for tapping in. Julio Fulio in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. JKJ Reptiles. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Tradesman Exotics. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day with the Chondro heat for my boy Sock. Don't sleep on my man Tradesman. The homie Jordan from Heartland Reptiles. God bless. He thinks his female's gravid. More than likely, she's just listen, I've been there, buddy. I've been there. I'm going to say this right here, right now. I think Jason will be able to relate to me as well. If you're really looking at a female and you think she ovulated, there's no thinking. When a snake ovulates, a snake ovulates. There's no fucking missing that. Okay, guys? So with all due respect, just wait and you'll know. And it's going to blow up. Jordan, I'm rooting for you, buddy. Keep pairing, keep feeding. That's all I got to say. By the way, Jordan's a Trap Talk Patreon member. See you at the top, Jordan. Slithery Serpents in the building. What's up? How you doing, bro? Thanks for tapping in. Big Mike, 1776 Exotics in the building. OG Trap Talk Patreon member. All day, every day. The homie Josh, Scale Fins and Feathers. Big assist with me with my Persina's eggs, which are doing good, buddy. Fingers crossed on that. But go give my boy Josh a follow. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Jamie from Pico Pythons. What's up, Jamie? Thanks for tapping in. JR Creations. What's up? Or Junior Creations. What's up? Thanks for tapping in. NW in the building. What's up? We got Australia in the building. The homie Luke. Lizard Morris. What's up, buddy? Thanks for tapping in. The homie Mark Anderson. Thank you so much for tapping in. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homegirl Aurora in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member. The homeboy Nate Dogg in the building. And we're going to end it with Central Jersey. Actually, no, hold on. Central Jersey Exotics in the building. Then we're going to end it with the homegirl. My OG girl right here, Chantel, Trap Talk Patreon member, Team Zoo Dream. She's also going to be on my homegirl, Nicole, Lady Tis Exotics YouTube channel. So Saturday, okay, guys, I need you guys. It's important we tap in for this episode because my girl right here, she's not playing. She has mad heat, mad knowledge. Trap Talk Patreon member too. So I'm trying to get as many people as I can for this girl's episode. Let's tap in. 10 a.m. going down. I hope I said that right, Chantel. If not, drop a comment. I'll fix that. But head over to Lady Tis Exotics. She has a sick-ass podcast as well. She's bringing the homegirl Chantel on. Girl power all day, every day. Let's go. All right, guys, listen, I'm keeping Jason long enough. I do want to say, first and foremost, before we tap in, go follow my man. All right, Emilio, my dog right here. Listen, it's not that I deny merch. I just want merch from real motherfuckers. And this is my boy right here. I'm telling you, Emilio is authentic. One of the real deal Holyfields in the hobby. Definitely full of positivity, but really authentic. Dog, I'm saying I like your shirt. I'm going to rep it with pride. Villarino Reptiles. All right, go check them out on Instagram, guys. But that's it. Let's go. Get your damn mind right, because it's about to go down right now. Hope you guys are ready, because like I said, I'm super pumped for tonight. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, because this guy right here, I got to tell you, he's one of the originals in my fucking book, and I got so many things to talk about. Guys, it's Jason Exotic Reptiles right now. Let's go. Cheers. You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk Podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
Jason, we are live. What is up? Oh, hell no. Terrible timing. I'm so sorry. What is up, my man? How are you?
Bro, that intro was fantastic. I need you to start doing some edits for me, because that was good. That was real good. I don't know what you
Jason,
got going on over there, but you need to show me how to use a computer, and that microphone is on point. You sound
Okay,
nice.
The microphone, no problem, all day. Unfortunately, this whole edit shit, that's my right-hand man, Adler, which I could set you up with him as well.
Yeah, we need to be up with that guy. He's good.
Dude, yeah, man. Listen, Jason, what is up, bro? Thanks for being here.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's been and I gotta give a shout out to my man Zach Cohen,
Yes.
Constrictors. He's like, bro, you gotta go on this. We were at a reptile show doing a reptile show together, and he's like, you gotta check out this podcast. And I didn't put it all together that we've been talking for years, and until we actually connected. So super cool to be on.
And I also, man, listen, this is why. Oh man, I love the people who support me. And I feel like I remember when I started following you, I saw you had a lot of support too. Like there was a lot of people who loved watching your stuff. Okay. So that kind of stuff, the genuine side of it is just, it's so awesome. And who would have thought that one of my own Patreon members, my own supporters would have connected me with a guy who I've been only talking through Facebook for the most part. 2 years ago, I asked this guy to come on the show, and you just had a lot going on at that time, which we'll get into. But man, for a while I've been trying to get you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I get so many, honestly, Instagram, I don't even see half the messages I get. They just go into like some folder that I don't know how to find it. I'll get a message and I'll click it. I don't know what's going on with my Instagram and Facebook lately, but it's terrible. I need somebody, like I need a crash course in technology. So if I gotta get hooked up with your dude for that.
Yeah,
we made it. We got on.
It's crazy, man. There's guys guys I looked up to so heavily in this game that I've connected with at Tinley, and I showed him how to repost stories and shit. I'm like, no, bro, this is what I was like, I've been tagging you and shit this entire time. I'm like, dude, because I asked him, I'm like, why don't you ever share the shit I tag you in? He's like, I don't know how to do that. And I physically had to show them how to do things, and then they start doing it after that. So yeah, you just need a crash course, like one day of just thoroughly going through it, and then you just have to do it every day after that.
Yeah, it's honestly, social media is something that I don't really enjoy. It's like a necessary part of it. So there'll be like a week where I'll go and I won't even log on, and then I'll be like backlogged with all these messages, and I just can't keep up. So I try to do what I can, which is why I started a Patreon, because I can always see those, which is, I'm assuming, similar to yours. And it's something that helps me kind of prioritize. All right, these are messages that I need to check often. And then these are messages that I like to check because there's so many cool people out there asking cool questions, and they give me good ideas for different stuff and what's actually trending and going on in our industry just from listening to the questions I'm receiving. So I try to help, but I'm super busy as you are, and do the best I can.
At least you figured out the Patreon thing, because that's one thing worthwhile. Because if you're somebody who has information that people really need, like mind you, bro, I'm not kidding. When you were one of the founders that I stumbled across on YouTube when I needed help with quarantine stuff. Like I remember getting stuff in with shit with mites, and I was like freaking the fuck out. And I remember your method of soaking an animal for like 24-hour soak within Dawn soap, and then there's like a hydration soak and like whatever that, and we could touch on that. But I remember that method I followed with anything that came in and never had an issue, bro. Like, I mean, mind you, I would still get things in fucked up, but that was my go-to. And I found that out in like what, 2017? I think that video is when I stumbled across it. And it was one of those things where, like, you know, if it doesn't break or if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like that piece of information, it was like fucking gold to me, and I always used it, and I've helped give that information to other people down the line. But like that type of shit, like that right there is worth paying for. You know what I mean? And you know, YouTube doesn't pay you shit. Like, and right now, see, Jason, if you've been putting this much work you've been doing in Patreon and YouTube, the only thing you'd be doing is helping your Patreon get bigger. But at the end of the day, it's like, I understand, like, why give information to people who probably won't even subscribe to your shit? They're just listening. You know what I mean? And that's tough, like, because it's a lot of work. And you know, YouTube's a lot of work. You've done it. So
yeah. And for, you know, for the mite video, I gotta, you know, I can't take credit for that. That was actually Kevin McCurley from Nerd who kind of told me, and I think I mentioned it in that video, at least I hope I did. It was one of my more original videos. And he told me years before I started YouTube, he's like, you got to do it. And I'm like, Kevin, I'm going to kill my snake. I can't keep this snake in water for a week. And he's like, just do it. Just trust me. And ever since then I did it. And I'm like, this is totally fine. It's like, once you get over the fear of like, you actually can, these snakes are going to be totally fine. And I've never turned back since then. So Kevin has been like the best ever to me. I can't say anything bad about that guy. He's just fantastic for me. Very good friend, but he taught me quite a bit of what I now try to teach others. And I enjoy the videos. They're not the most clickbaity. They're not the most exciting at times, but I hope that the content's there. I hope people can use it as a source of information to use. And that's really what I was trying to do. Is I'm reading books, and then I'm talking to the people who wrote the book, and I'm saying, this person who wrote this book does not do this. Like, they literally don't do this. And they will literally say, I don't do that. I just did that because that's what people want to hear. And I was tired of that. I did that my whole kind of trying to get into reptiles as I was trying to produce stuff, realizing that the stuff that I was reading was not what they were actually doing. So I try to make my YouTube as that, you know, source of information that's real, that has no BS. This is what I do. And if you don't like it, don't follow it. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings. It won't affect me at all. Tell me I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter to me. If you want to follow it, then go for it. It'll help you.
Yeah. And having that kind of mentality gives you so much freedom, because you're just like, there's no expectations. You can't really control people to either like your style or understand where you're coming from. They either get it or they don't. You know what I mean? And you know, like I said, Patreon, they're obviously coming to you. So they're going to really just let you do your thing. That's why I love Patreon, because Patreon they love seeing you do your thing, and that's it. You know what I mean? And it's really a fun time, I got to say. But before we kind of get into the whole YouTube, because I have so much to talk to you about with YouTube and whatnot. And before we get into things, I kind of want to talk about the foundation that you've always, I mean, I want to say the most respect on your name is with boas. I mean, boa constrictors and you are like, I want to say that's your bread and butter, or correct me if I'm wrong, but boas has always been that thing for you, or what's going on?
So yeah, boas have always been where my passion was. And I dabbled in ball pythons in like early 2000s. Wow. When ball pythons were, I think I actually bought like a Mojave from Kevin. It was like something crazy. Or it was a pastel, like $2,000 for pastel ball python. And Mojave might have been like 6,000 or 8,000 at the time. And we just didn't know what we were doing. We were reading these books. I was chasing what everybody else was chasing. And it was fun. It was cool because nobody knew what like a 2-gene ball python looked like. That was rare. Like, what the hell is, and I'm not talking new genes. I'm talking like, what does a pastel with like a Mojave look like? No one knows. What does a pastel spider look like? Nobody has an idea. So it was at that time but I was chasing something that I wasn't passionate about. I liked boas. I always had a boa around, and I've had blood pythons and different types of boas, rainbow boas, dumerals. I have rainbow boas again now, and we can talk about that too. But boa constrictors, for the most part, have always been what I've kind of clung to. I found it took me a long time to figure out what I was actually doing, because I was reading the books and I was reading the forums of all these experts that said, do this, do that, Valentine's Day, after this date, that's the last time you compare. And once I really understood what was working and what wasn't, I could figure out actually like what the snakes are actually doing. And it's not hard. Once you know what to look for, it's super simple. It's like when a female's ready to be bred, she does a certain thing. And when she's not ready, she does something else. Like, it's super easy.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I've had Ben Russo on the show. I've had some legendary fucking boa people on the show. So you're adding to this list here, and I just want to hear it from yourself, because I just had a podcast. Oh, damn it. What's his name? The guy with the Vinci boa guy,
Rich Dalbano.
Yes. Yes. And it was on my other podcast, Unfiltered Reptiles podcast with Dave Levinson. And we were just kind of going back and forth, and I had success last year with my boa because I paired her up in October. And then this year, the year before that, paired her up in October, went well. This year I waited till October with another female, and it just didn't work out. But I noticed in August, she was like inverted. Her belly she was doing weird shit. Are those the kind of signs? Like as far as a boa laying any time of the year, is that typical? Or what, let's talk about the signs that you see. I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, a boa I have boas that will religiously lay at the same time. I think once you figure out when they're developing follicles, that snake will almost always develop follicles and breed at the same time. But in the same rack or in different sides of my room, I could have snakes. So I have snakes that are almost ready to lay babies, and I have snakes that are still developing follicles and are not even close to being ready for males. So they're doing different things. Typically, a boa that is developing follicles is going to be on the cold side. They're going to avoid the heat. And to me, that's the importance of reducing the feeding during that breeding season, because you can't see that. If you're always feeding them, they're always going to be on the heat digesting. When, they do the similar stuff as pythons, they'll bull wrap and they'll try to just get cold. But I do think, seasonal feeding, a lot of people say you don't need to change anything. I've never been successful with that. I will always now change my light cycles. I'll change my humidity. I'll change my temperatures. And I figure it can't hurt. Will they do it without that? Of course they probably would. But can it hurt to cause these crazy temperature changes, these seasonal periods? I don't think it can hurt. So I'm going to go for it. And that's what I do. So typically I push my temperatures really hot in the summertime, like very hot, where my whole room is usually about 78 degrees. And my hot spot in the cage is what I change. So my thermostat, which the probe is there, I'll put my hot spots in the summertime, not the thermostat. The actual physical hot spot in the cage is probably somewhere between 95 to 102 or 3 degrees. Whoa, and what that does is my cool end will be always, 85 to 88-ish. That's my room. So it has to be specific to your room. And I'm forcing these snakes to be uncomfortably hot. The reason for that is when I do my temp drop, I can have this huge temp drop, this 10, 12 degree temp drop, and my females still have access to some place that's 86 to 88. So I'll do about 1 degree per week. I might skip some weeks. I'll do 2 degrees at times. At the same time, I'm reducing my light cycles. I live in New England, so on the East Coast. So, as my outdoor lights change, right now I have my lights on, but I think I'm on a 9:15 right now. So 9 hours on, 15 hours off. And I have to start bringing that back up. But I'm kind of digressing. Either way, I'm reducing the lights, I'm reducing the temperature. And the reason why I go so hot in the summer is as my females ovulate, they always have access to get their bodies to 86, 88 degrees. And they need that, or you're going to get stillborn babies. So usually stillborn babies is a result of they couldn't get hot enough. Slugs is a result of the male didn't do his job, or there's something with the female. She didn't, populate the sperm and the ova correctly. But for the most part, you should have successful litters if you do that. And you touched on something with the ovulation. I actually miss ovulations all the time. But if you see one, you know it. And what I will do is sometimes I'll see a lot of swelling over the course of it. And it's easy to miss in boas, I think, because they can do like this slow ovulation,
Right.
and but they will almost always be on the heat. So that's my check, is if a boa is on the heat and the male's not interested, she ovulated, and then I'll start counting the pre-lay sheds or the post-ovulation sheds.
So mind you, like that right there is kind of a message to the people who only have one pairing going and they're watching every single day. Like they're not missing a step, right? So what I'm meaning is, like, don't stress it. If you've been watching this entire time, like, in documenting, which I'm sure they're excited, you know what I mean? Who remember your first clutch, right? Like, holy shit, like all that whole process. I'm saying it's going to happen when it happens. And if you're watching, you're not going to miss it. You know what I mean? Because I got to tell you, man, fuck. I first came into this with the ball pythons, right? And, you know, kind of my problem was, like you said, about the mite information I got from your YouTube channel, right? Like, I stuck to that because I felt like it worked, and it did work. And I didn't want to hear no other, because how many other methods are there? So many people have different methods, but this method I saw, it was actually working for me. So I'm not going to change. But I also had another guy. I've always mentioned this before, but this guy one time, I was sending him pictures, and I was like, hey man, I think my snake is in a prelay shed. Like, and he was asking me questions like, oh, is she eating? And I'm like, yeah, she's still eating. He's like, oh, that's good. That means she's going to have a really big clutch. So yeah. So basically I'm like, okay, cool. So that means this is the prelay shed. Basically I posted maybe 4 different sheds thinking this was the prelay shed. Come to find out, once the snake ovulates, there is no eating. There's no eating involved whatsoever. It's over until they lay the clutch. And I just the guy took me on a fucking run. Let me just tell you that it was pretty embarrassing, and
it depends. I mean, every snake is different. I have some snakes that will not miss a meal, and I have some snakes that just don't touch food. And it really, and I have others that they won't.
Oh shit. You know, although you're right, my bad. I'm referring to ball pythons though, because ball pythons, no python species eats after the ovulation at all.
Yeah. Correct.
Right? Boas.
Burmese pythons will. It's
really? I didn't know that.
It's super snake dependent. It really is.
Okay, I stand corrected then. I didn't know that.
It's, to me, again, the only things that I track are they on the heat. If they're on the heat and they're keeping their body at 86 degrees, they probably have something in them, because a pregnant snake or a gravid snake is not going to be off their heat unless they have slugs. So if I see a snake that I know ovulated and all of a sudden she's just not keeping her body temp up, that usually tells me that she doesn't have anything good in her, and they will be more variable off the heat. So I don't think there's a lot of really hard set rules with reptiles. Right. I think there's a lot of hard set rules written somewhere, and that's what screwed me up so much. I'm like, this is all wrong. That's why I started my YouTube channel. Is there's so much shit out there, and there's so much by these experts, by these people that everybody respects. And then you talk to them in person, they're like, oh, that's not even true at all. And I'm like, well, why'd you publish it? That's what everybody wants to hear. And it's like, it's mind-blowing how much bad information is out there.
And it's growing by the day. There's still other YouTube channels of people who just kind of made a following off reels and like TikTok, So they took this influence to YouTube, and I can't say they're all like this, because I just had somebody on who's kind of in the pet tuber industry, but does it right. Like, they work with Freedom Breeder and collab with Focus Cube, and like wants it, like, that's mine. If you want things in a decked out enclosure, that's fine. If you want to put in the work behind it, right? But at the end of the day, like, there's other people where you could tell, like, dude, when was the last time that snake has had a full shed? It looks like there's like 4 different eye caps on that damn snake. Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? But they have like 80,000 followers or subscribers, and it's like, it's just terrible, man. Like, I mean, okay, I don't want to get too deep into this. I'm asking you, because you're somebody who's been around for a long time. How do you feel about somebody making content off of live feeding videos and commentating? Like, are you hearing it squeeze and die? And like, and mind you, like, it's building a whole nother audience of people who aren't really in this industry. But for you, is that something that is that a detractor, or is that, or what's your opinion with something like that as far as content goes?
It's hard, because I try to stay pretty neutral. Like, I don't care. I mean, I do care, because I know it can hurt our reptile industry when there's the commentary in the background, like, oh, look at it, you know, look at his eyes popping or whatever, like, you're just like a weird person, and we're not going to get along. Like, I don't, and there's a whole bunch of other weird people who I wouldn't get along with following that. So, you know, that's my take on it. If there's a live feeding video and people are doing it for views, like, the hell with it. That's what people want to see. And that's the problem with the reptile industry today, is that we don't want to support each other. We're too busy in our own world, which is cool, because that's what reptile people are. We're just in our own world. And but we don't, like, you'll see a post and it'll have like 2,000 views, but it'll only have like 10 likes. So 2,000 people could have clicked a like on that, and they won't. And they'll go and, you know, but then you post a girl or something in a bikini with a reptile, and it's got 2,000 views and like 2,500 likes. Like, it has more likes than it has views.
Or drama.
Yes, or drama. So I get it. I know why people do it. I would never bash somebody for doing it. I just wish it didn't have to be that way. So that's my take, is like, I get why people do it. You know, there's been times where I've made videos and it was maybe perceived as me bashing them, but it's always followed with, I get it. I know why you're doing it. I just wish you didn't need to. There's so much cool stuff to show off that I wish we didn't need to show off this stuff to get views. It's a problem with our hobby as a whole, is we can't support stuff that's cool. We have to support like clickbaity stuff.
And what sucks with, you know, it is what it is. I am who I am, but I take that shit personal, and I wish I didn't, like, because at the end of the day, they found something to build traction on what they want to do. And like you said, like, bashing anything just does nothing. Like, even maybe self-gratitude, but at the end of the day, are you really happy? Because it did nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like you said, there's too many people that just rather stay on the bashing rather than seeing how can we just move forward, and just kind of like I said, like, I don't want to be upset at anyone making live feeding videos at this point. Like, make your videos. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. It's just not ever going to be my thing. And you just can't expect me or any people on the breeding side to ever respect something like that. But I don't hate you, or I don't want you to fucking burn and die or anything. No, I wish you the best. It's just something that people want. It's just something, it's just, you know, people, dude, if there's some fucked up shit on YouTube, bro, like, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, there's so many different things of channels that are like, oh my God, like, man, there's like cartel story ones that, like, they give you like the actual, and one time I, like, for a month, I got sucked into that, and I was like, dude, I feel really depressed and dark, and like, I had to get out of it, and I was having nightmares and shit. It was fucking nuts. But anyways, like, it's just, you know, YouTube is just a world of whatever you want out there, man. You could just search it, you know, and that's what it is. And
yeah, but I was watching a great video, and you know, people say, oh, the algorithm, but the algorithm is really just the people. I forget who did it. It was probably like a Mr. Beast video, and he was saying, you got to put out your best content, and people always blame, oh, this video didn't do well because the algorithm kicked it down. No, the people didn't click it. The people don't want to watch that. The people aren't supporting that. So that's why, you know, it's so important, is like, support who is in the industry, support the people who are doing good. Click their video, leave it running in the background. Like, you don't even have to watch the whole thing, but like, it helped that channel grow to reach the larger audience. And honestly, the problem that I see is a lot of these, you know, the bigger YouTubers will then go to that live feed video and make this whole commentary video about it. And that's not helping. You know, they say it's helping the reptile industry. I see the opposite. I actually see that all you did was promote that person's channel. Like, there's so much cool stuff happening. I could see a totally different take. Like, why do you have to promote the live feeding video and comment on all the bad stuff? It's because it's drama, and it creates a good audience and following for their channel. But you could flip it. You could do a totally different angle by showing off all the cool stuff that people are doing. But it's just the way people's minds work in the industry. And again, I can't bash it, but I wish it wasn't that way. I wish people could use their platforms to grow the good stuff instead of promote drama and clickbaity crap that's out there.
I mean, and honestly, I don't want to, anyone out there could choose who they want to support. Like, you honestly do you, right? Because I can't really be a hypocrite on any of this, you know, because I'm also friends with people in the industry where not everyone kind of sees why I'm friends with them. And it's just like, well, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm my own person, and I know there's a lot of that. So just stay loyal to what you want to do. And that's fine. Like, do you, and that's okay. Like, at the end of the day, does a person take care of the animals? Are their animals like well maintained? Like, are they like, here's the thing. There's so many people that have a loud mouth and want to comment and say the most. But what are you doing? Like, what is your involvement in this industry other than being a chit chatter or being somebody who wants to aggressively kind of tear somebody down in the comments? Like, there's a lot of those, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I want to see your animals, or show me, like, what are you doing? Can I, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm just, that's what kind of baffles me and just kind of reminds me that, you know, at the end of the day, like, no matter what your personality is, no matter who you are, you're going to have somebody out there who's going to fucking talk shit. There's always going to be that, no matter what. And that's why, you know, listen, I let my experience do the judging for who I want to like, who I don't want to like, which I want to lead this into something, because remember, I told you, you're one of the very first people on YouTube that I could stand to watch. Okay. Because
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Listen, there was other people where I was like, whoa, that's cool. You know what I mean? And then I saw like other little mini versions of it. And it's kind of like, it was almost rip-off versions of each other in a sense. You know what I mean? And I just was like, you know, and that's no disrespect, but that's kind of what I was like. I was kind of getting over ball pythons because it was the same, like, just cheesy fucking information. And I'm sorry, but a ball python doesn't take a rocket science to figure that shit out. Like, hello, like buy from the right person, be patient, and good things happen with ball pythons. That's just straightforward shit. But I got into chondros. I was getting into imports. So thank God it made me have to figure out what real quarantine was. I never quarantined my ball pythons before I actually dealt with mites. And then I figured out what quarantine even really meant. I'm not going to lie. At 30 something years old, I didn't even know what quarantine meant. Or I remember the movie Quarantine. I remember the movie Quarantine. And that's the only time I ever fucking heard that word quarantine. I'm not joking. And then I heard it from you. And so I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So quarantine, I got a quarantine. And then that's when I heard so many different methods of quarantine and how people, you know, do it for fucking 13 months. Don't ever do it. And whatever, you quarantine, you know, some people abuse just the word itself. You know what I mean? But either way, like I said, you were the originator for real content that was helping me grow to where I'm at today. Okay. That's sick as fuck to say. Okay. You're one of a handful. So now, but what I'm saying is I remember following you on Instagram, and then guess who I found out after you?
I don't know.
Who is the guy come on, you were collabing with some, Kevin. Yeah. Kevin, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? And Kevin, I only remember seeing him when you were in videos next to him. Other than that, his page was just all his animals. And I was just like, whew, this guy is nuts. Like, and it was awesome because it was very like first time ever seeing shit, like seeing animals I've never seen before. And then you were his homie. And I'm like, wow, this is sick. Right. But as I was growing in the hobby and I was getting into other stuff, you know, Kevin's that guy where he could be your hero, but then you could have that one guy who just has something to say about Kevin, right? And that's just how it is. Kevin's big. So like you said, everyone's going to have something to say no matter where you're at in this life, right?
Absolutely.
So, right. So, but with that being said, I started like, you know, here, I'm just going to say Ed Marino. Ed Marino is one of my favorite emerald tree boa guys in the fucking world, right? And I remember there was an incident with Kevin a few years ago where it was just like he wasn't liked in the group, and that made me kind of like, well, you know, we'll kind of fuck this guy, like, and that was kind of my first bad taste about Kevin. But then right when I noticed that, I was like, just how come Jason doesn't do content with this guy no more? And that was right when you kind of just like stopped doing your thing with him, and I never knew why. And like I know, listen, and by the way, me and Kevin are fine now. This is like. This is old school shit. All right. I have no problem with Kevin, legend for sure. But I'm just saying, you know, back then it wondered like why Jason stopped coming around. And you know, it's crazy. Right when you left, Nerd took a turn, bro. Like it was like, whew, you know what I mean? Who's this Donnie guy? Who's this Donnie guy? And it was just like, man. And that's when, and I, you know, we'll touch on Donnie in a minute, but I'm saying, Donnie was a big reason why I even said fuck Nerd even more. Like I was like, fuck this shit. And then he mentioned my podcast out of his mouth one time, which I went on a whole rant, which, you know, I just wanted to be relevant. Mind you, he was running Nerd's YouTube, which is like a huge platform. And I felt like this little guppy just mentioned I'm a little guppy and this big shark just mentioned my name, which, you know what I mean? Now it's the tables are turned, bro. I got motherfuckers coming at me now who just, So I get it, you know, but at the end of the day, I was wondering what happened with you and Kevin as far as the collaborations, you being at his place, all that stuff. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, no, a big part of it is I just got super busy with work, and now like I haven't even been up to Kevin's place in like 2.5 years because I moved to Connecticut, and I'm just super busy to get up there, which sucks. I still stay in touch, not as much as I want to. I feel like I'm the friend that if you call me at 3 a.m. And you say you need me, I'm going to be there, but I'm not going to call you every day and talk for hours on end. But I still try to stay in touch with Kevin. I'm just so damn busy right now because I do the snakes and I do work and I got another, side thing going on. So I've just got a lot of stuff happening, but no, it's to no fault. I love Kevin. Kevin's like, I would say I literally love Kevin. Like if something happened to Kevin, I would be totally heartbroken. So no, I don't think there's any bad blood. Him and I stay in touch, and it was mainly just got busy. And then at the same time, Kevin was doing his thing with his YouTube channel, and Donnie was doing that. And Donnie and I have had it out for I shouldn't say had it out for each other, but we disagreed on content. And but I know what I can't bash Donnie. He's friggin' great at what he does. I mean, is he not? I mean,
because like Donnie is such an influence on he doesn't keep like he has animals at his house that his girlfriend owns and whatnot, but like himself, like he is doing shit for nerd that nobody in the reptile game has elevated content the way he's doing. And I know, listen, I get it. It's very like, but dude, it's truth. Like you can't be mad at the truth. And that's what I'm saying. Like after a while, I got drawn to nerd shit because of the stuff they were calling out, which fucking gets under my skin, bro. Like I was seeing content that because listen, at the end of the day, Jason, I'm like you. I wish I didn't have to do social media, but somehow I found this niche. What am I going to do? So, and I try to just stay minimal, but at the end of the day, I can't stay minimal. Like this is me meeting people and it grows, but I have things that just fucking bug the shit out of me. And it's YouTube creators who do the most outlandish shit like, you know what I mean? I'm jumping on animals that you just caught in the wild, like that type of shit, like terrible shit that needs to be called out. So that was, understand that I went from, and I'm a stubborn motherfucker. How old are you, Jason? I mean, we're probably around the same.
35.
I'm 37. I'm older than you. Holy shit. What I never thought.
You look better than I do. So
no, I'm just saying, like, well, because like I said, like I came into this, like I feel like a teenager, and you're like a fucking college student, and like, or like, you know what I mean? Like, so you're always like older to me in my head. You know what I mean? But anyways,
I mean, getting on, the Kevin Donnie thing. I think the thing that bothered me the most about it was I know Kevin. And I see, like I know him. I spent a lot of time with Kevin, and then I see him in the videos. I'm like, that's not Kevin. And I think that.
What do you mean, bro? Kevin, I've had Kevin. I mean, I don't know about the videos because I've seen some stuff, and I know when he kind of goes on his rant, he's a ranty guy. Like Kevin rants. Like it
was the earlier stuff, I'd say. Okay. I think the content's definitely gotten better, and it's probably just a testament of it's going through this growth phase, and it has momentum, and it can grow without doing all that stuff. But at first, that's really what I struggled with is I'm like, Kevin, this isn't you. I would watch it, and I'm saying like, yeah, it's you, but it's not you. Like that's not your message. What happened to all this shit that got clipped out? Like the real Kevin to make this sensationalized Kevin, which is again, you have to do that. And I bet if I did that, my channel would do something too. But I don't really care to be the next YouTube star. If it happens, awesome. If it doesn't happen, whatever. I'm putting out information, and it's not because I want to be the YouTube sensational person. But I get it. I can never bash what happened, why it happened. I struggled with it mentally the most because I know him and I'm like, that's not him. That's not nerd. That's acting. Then I have people come and tell me and they like, oh, did you see what just happened? And I'm like, that didn't happen. That was like for you guys. That was entertainment. But I do think that a lot of the videos that he's producing now are really good. It's still not my set, like what I would sit there and watch, but I watch boring shit. And that's why my channel's boring. I watch like reviews on friggin' pressure cookers because I want to know how to cook the best chicken breast or something. But that's what I watch. So I don't typically watch the sensationalized stuff. And that's why I have a lot of respect for these guys. Like even like Brian Barczyk and Kevin, when you actually get them to talk about animals, the passion and love that these guys have for this stuff
Nuts.
and the knowledge is like, it's ridiculous. There was a video that Brian did talking about ball python morphs, and how effortlessly he was saying it was just mind blowing. You could, if you don't know what he's talking about, then maybe it's not as impressive. But me knowing, I'm like, this guy just totally knows his shit. Like, he's just rattling it off. Like, it's just like it's, what's your name? Oh, my name's Brian. Like, but he's talking about how to breed animals at such a clear professional level that this guy clearly knows what he's doing. And he gets a lot of heat, and I get it. It's just who he is and who, you know, where he is in his world. I mean, he makes a lot of money off YouTube. That's his gig. But he's animals.
I'm glad you said that, buddy, because listen, this is money that I don't know, you don't know. Like this, these guys have this type of YouTube money that you don't fucking know unless you're in these guys' shoes. Okay. And the thing is, the reptile content income on YouTube, from what I know, is not, it's getting harder and harder and harder. It's not like how it was when it first was hitting the streams of YouTube. So it's a dicey thing because you have to get more creative. Now, mind you that there are things that, like, bro, like when you're at that level, like I'm sure Donnie could speak for Kevin, but I could speak for Barchek because Barchek's my buddy. Barchek's my buddy, and I've seen this guy in action. Spent a lot of time with Barchek, and I know that this vlogging shit is a lifestyle. Like, it's something where if it needs to be put on camera, it's going to be put on camera no matter what. So I want to touch on something that that you put out. Remember, and you know what's funny? I remember catching this. I remember watching this, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And it became a thing. It actually became something that you were coming after Barchek, or you said something bad about Barchek, about him crying when Sunshine died. Sunshine, it was Sunshine. Yeah, Sunshine. His Burmese python died. Not gonna lie, bro. That shit made me cry because I'm an emotional guy. Okay. And you East Coast motherfuckers, I got family in the East Coast. You guys are hard as ice as fucking shit. Like, and you guys, if you guys do cry, a door's shut. Like, ain't nobody watching you cry. Nobody watches anyone cry back East, right? But for me, I'm a Latino, bro. Like, my heart is on my sleeve. Like, I cried. Like, check this out. I cried when my very first baby chondro that I got for $200 because it never had any meals. This guy got this from a wholesaler, and he's like, "Do you want it?" And I was so happy. And I came into this game broke, bro. I was like going through some shit, and I had no money. So I thought this chondro was my only chance to ever own something like that. And I went through the whole ringer with it, got it to eat, and then it died. And I remember seeing it when it died. I hit the floor and went like, you know, like I cried. I like 33, 34 years old, cried, bro. My dad came in just visiting, stopping by, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like crying, bro, like crying. And but the thing was, I'm not a vlogger, right? But if I would have known, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like that emotion is so raw. And I don't know. I'm not sitting here to be like, "Hey, listen, he wasn't acting." Who knows? Like, I mean, you might not be wrong, but at the end of the day, that touched me a certain way, no homo, but it was like, whoa, like, and you were just like, you know, that was unnecessary. You didn't have to fucking put that out there. You know what I mean? And then I guess a lot of that people took that as you coming at Barchek.
Oh, they got pissed. They called me like, "Oh, you're bashing people with mental disabilities and stuff." I'm like, whoa. Hold on. We're going down a road right now.
I've been there.
And I'm like, you know, it was mainly because maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's my personality. I'm not, the last thing, if I'm sad, I'm not going to turn on a camera and record myself crying. It's just not going to happen. I don't care how popular my YouTube channel gets, not going to do it. And I feel like that's a personal thing. Like, you can portray the message. When I moved to my new place, I had a lot of animals die, and I cried, like mentally messed up. Like, I didn't make videos for weeks. I didn't talk to people. Like, I lost a lot of amazing animals. Some of them were Kevin's animals. And I was just unpacking snake after snake after snake that was dead. And that hit me in a way that I didn't think I had in me anymore. Because when you've been breeding reptiles, you care for these animals, but you don't, at least me, I don't typically cry if something dies. And maybe that's bad to say. I mean, I'm certainly, you know, emotionally affected by it, but I'm not going to break down in tears. And I totally broke down. Like, I think it was just the amount of animals, the time that I've spent with all these animals, the years that I've been raising these animals, and I've had this somewhat of a connection with them, that I think it really hit me a different way. And it took me, like I said, probably 3 to 4 weeks to finish the video that I was making. And it was just a shitty situation. But no, I mean, I got heat for that. Brian and I talked. I think we kind of smoothed it over as like, hey, I misread it as you were acting. I did not mean to make fun of you at all. But I'm like, listen, like, now you got people who are over here like, you should go kill yourself. Like, oh, screw you, making fun of people with mental disabilities. Like, I got flooded by the Brian Barczyk mob telling me to go kill myself. And I'm like, hold on a second, Brian. You just made this whole talk about people with, shouldn't be made fun of with disabilities. You should never tell somebody, never make fun of somebody. And now I got an army of people that you just sicked on me, telling me to go kill myself. Screw you, this and that. I'm like, that's not cool, dude. Like, I get that you were impacted, but you could have talked to me. You didn't need to go on your reptile podcast and call me out for 2 hours, which was fine. I got a lot of followers from it. But at the same time, it's like, got to practice what you preach. And I'm big about that. Like, I will say it how it is. I will practice what I preach. And if I screw up, I'll apologize. But at the same time, like, there was, I think that got blown way out of proportion. And anybody who saw that whole video, I don't think, like, literally watched the whole video, I don't think could have that reaction that I was bashing him. Right. I think what happened was he didn't even see the video because I took it down. And he told me that. I think there was a whole group of people who watched like the first 2 minutes, because my videos can be dull for 10 minutes long if you watch the whole thing at times. And they watched the first 2 minutes, they clung that, they went and told Brian, and that was it. That was all they heard. They didn't hear the tail end where I'm like, this is why I wish it didn't happen this way. This is why. And it was just my opinion. Like, if you don't like my opinion, stop watching my shit. Like, what are you watching my shit for? Get off my channel. Like, it's my opinion. And like, what it is, if you want to hear my opinion, go for it. If you want to bash it, go for it. But like, it's not going to impact me if you don't like my opinion on stuff.
Amen, brother. Like, listen, that was my whole motto until now I have a bunch of sponsors. So now I have to be careful.
Yeah.
And that's what's like, but listen, that's like, man, it just, because listen, I've always been that guy like, you ain't gonna tell me what to say. You ain't gonna tell me what to do. And that, I'm sure a lot of people in this fucking country were like that at a certain point until they started growing. And the bigger you get, the more your hands get tied, I feel like, you know what I mean? And just not only with just like things that you say to offend people, but like, for instance, I've said this before, like with YouTube, like, once you have so many people watching your stuff, like, you can't say a cuss word within the first 5 seconds. And like, there's so many little things that like you get docked on. And it's like, man, life is all about the more you grow, the more you get docked. And, I don't know, like I said, I could still just say fuck everything and just, and continue what I want to do. But I just know at the end of the day, like, I do have old negativity, like toxic behaviors that I'd rather not have no more. And for this change, it's for myself. It's not for anything else. It's not even for my sponsors. And I love my sponsors, but this is because I don't want to continue to be this person. You know what I mean? And that it just, and I feel like thankfully that's because I'm growing. If I maybe wasn't growing, I probably would have never even considered it. But this is why I love growth, man. You got to accept growth on how it comes to you. You know what I mean? I'm just happy I'm seeing the signs, bro.
Honestly, absolutely. And I think YouTube's a super cool way to actually even document that growth. If you go back and you watch your first episode, versus where now, I did that the other day. Like, my first episode looked like I was one bad like away from like, that's it, I'm done with life. And it's changed. And I'm not saying my last episode's any better, but you can watch your progression from where you started to where you are. And I think it's super cool.
Now, I kind of want to go back to the BOAs, or like anything that you could touch on as far as that financially set you up for success. Because if it's one thing I was really like couldn't believe when I would first watch your YouTube channels, I remember telling Jason during sound check that when I first watched his YouTube stuff, I had 4 ball python tanks in my closet. Never seen a snake rack in my entire life. And what's crazy is, as I was growing and I was getting I remember getting my first snake rack and then seeing how much they are. I was like, oh my God, they're expensive. And that's what made me even like even more, because I was like, dude, this guy is invested. Like, these things are fucking expensive. But did that come from snake breeding? Like, where'd you get the bills to have all this shit? I'm curious.
No, everything I've ever done with my snakes, whether it's purchase new animals or buy new racks, has always been funded through snake breeding. And, I think it's, in a way, I wish I still had what I had with the older cages, because I could still breed. I could breed in a cardboard box as long as I could contain the snake and hit my temperatures and hit my heat. You don't need fancy shit. Now, does the fancy shit help? Of course it does. It helps, but you don't need it. The fundamentals of breeding you can do in something really simple. And I think that's where I think the industry is somewhat clouded, is everybody thinks they need to buy the most expensive animal, the most expensive setups, and they're going to be successful. Like,
Hell
yeah,
no.
it may help, but if you don't know how to breed, you're going to be hurting. And then a lot of people think, I'm just going to pair these snakes and I'm going to sell all my babies. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. You didn't put in your time. You didn't put in your effort to promote yourself. You didn't do anything for the hobby. All you did was buy some snakes, put them together, and try to steal customers from other people who don't know who the hell you are. And that can work to a point, but you need to, and I hate to say steal customers, but you need to do your part. And that's what I'm big on, is everybody needs to do their part, whether that is responding to posts on Facebook, giving a like, giving a comment, nice snake. You don't need to always be giving facts and knowledge. That's where I think so much misinformation has come, is everybody needs to be an expert, and it's okay to not be an expert. There's so much shit I don't know, but everybody wants to be the expert. And
I hate that word expert. Like, who's an expert in this besides the animals? I'm fucking confused. Like there's people in here who, like, who's the biggest? Like, I've had people who've been in this game for Marshall Mendez. You ever heard of Marshall Mendez?
I feel like I've heard the name. I don't know the face or what he does.
Okay, Gary. How about Gary Shavino, the sponsor of today's episode?
Absolutely, hell yeah.
Right. So Gary Shavino, I've had a vlog that I just put out about a month ago, where I was at his place asking him questions, and he says, MJ, you know what? I don't know that answer, because it's something that nobody knows why a snake does this, or a snake would do this, or why a snake would, there's certain things, like, we're talking like basins and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And just like, this is what makes the animal what it is, because you never know. It's always going to throw a fucking curveball at you. And so I just don't feel like anyone's really an expert, really, like, I mean, like, I'm sure, like, mind you, like, there's just people who've been around this for decades and decades, and there's expert on knowledge, but just like, I just feel like there's nobody perfect out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's people should talk on what they know. They should understand what they don't know, and they should sort and reference people who do. So if you don't know, you could say, hey, I don't know this, but I heard this person say this. Don't just say, hey, this is how to do it. Contributing to the industry doesn't always need to be, I'm going to school everybody on how to do something. Like I said, it could just be like someone's picture, leave a comment. Hey, cool snake. That's it. You don't need to say go to these Facebook threads and tear people apart because they're calling something incorrectly. I hate those people. There's the people that's like, I get it. If you're genuinely trying to help somebody, go for it. But when you're just being a dick to be a dick, like, don't do that. Like, you're somebody that is probably not going to do well. But I think that's, again, kind of getting back to the equipment and the systems. I think that the racks certainly do help. I like cages, but from an efficiency standpoint, from a quantity of animal standpoint, you need to have more efficient setups. And I like the racks. I like the 4-foot Freedom Breeder racks a lot, as well as, I do not really promote buying those super expensive animals. They're hard to sell. They really are hard to sell. I think the ball python industry spun the mindset of people in a different way of, buy this $20,000 snake, breed it to $100 normal, and you can make, 1,000 babies that are, 10 babies per normal, and you can make yourself this killing return. You got to sell those animals. And I think that's part of it. Like, people don't understand the business side, that this is a business. You can't just open up a shoe store or open up a coffee shop and expect customers to walk in. Like, you got to build that. It's no different with reptiles. You have to build that. And you can buy the most expensive machines if you have a coffee shop. But if your coffee sucks, you don't know how to make coffee, you're going to go out of business.
Or how about that? Or how about this? Your fucking customer service is so pathetic. Like, there's no people skills. You're just like, it's like, here, thank you for my latte that you just spit in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was thinking that. I'm so happy you said that, because I was reading.
What the fuck? Because it's true, bro. Like, okay. I'm glad I never heard that analogy with the coffee shop, because motherfuckers go do their work there. They students that study there. There's people who have meetings at coffee shops if they know it's a good spot. You know what I mean? And that takes time. Jason, this is why I am kind of annoyed by certain things in the ball python game, because people come in here money hungry. That's fine, but the money thing is something that comes when it comes. Like, you should be holdback hungry. Like, you should just be like ready just to have some years under your belt, because it is kind of like some energy that you have to put into the industry. Like, you have to, like for instance, one thing that I did, bro, that made my life really difficult, and I'm probably gonna have to do this again soon, is breed my own rats. You know what I mean? And that's because, first and foremost, I couldn't afford rats like when I first came in, and I was building a collection, and my dumbass was like not even considering, as the snakes get bigger, the food's gonna get bigger and all this shit. And I was kind of somebody who learned after it was already happening, but then I learned the rat is so much fucking, like, that's the backbreaking shit, bro. The rats. You know what I mean? And dude, I would have a whole day dedicated to rat chores. And I did it, bro. Like, I would be so exhausted, like having the worst day at work. I mean, even having some relationship problems, whatever. And I would have to do rat chores, and I would fucking do it. I didn't give a fuck, because I knew it was like, I have no choice. This is what feeds my collection. And I never had work ethic like that before, bro. And first 2.5, 3 years, I bred my own rats and fucking went through the goddamn ringer with them, bro. And man, what a blessing after I stopped doing that.
I was going to say, do you still breed rats? Because that is one thing.
No.
I actually went over to a guy who I get some rats from. I went to pick up some mediums and stuff, and he said, I'm like, oh, you got to give me like a quarter off. Like, his price was still good, but I'm trying to buy a lot. So I'm like, give me really 25 cents off. He says, all right, if you can come over and euthanize them with me and bag them, I'm down. Yeah, we can do that. I will never do that again. I will pay the extra quarter every time. It's not worth it. I spent hours in there. My nose was hurting from like the ammonia, and he has a pretty clean place, but you just have a lot of rats in one place. I couldn't do it. It's terrible. Terrible. I'm not going to do that again.
Oh, you want to hear? Oh, let's make the matters worse for MJ. That I bred these fucking rats in the same building where my snakes were. Like it was in. I called my room the trap, and they were like literally in the washroom, like just, you know what I mean, like just pheromones of piss and shit and all rats all inside. So everything I had, just trying to take my head off every single time they thought they were eating, bro. And it was, and bro, they would escape. Oh my God. I don't want to go down this, but like I said, my life was a fucking nightmare. I made my life so difficult because I just, and I also talk about one thing. I was a professional at growing up, and it didn't help me, but obviously I switched it, was taking shortcuts in life. Like, I always I wanted to find ways to, like, I don't want to do all that. And you do that shit in this hobby, even with the rats, you do something, watch what happens. You're going to regret it. And the rats made me like, oh, if I see something kind of like, oh, that the tub's not fully in, I'll be fine. And then there's a fucking big rat out, or like, that's a shit where you never turn your back on it. And man, I'm thankful for that, because now I preach shortcuts are the fucking end of you. Like, that shortcuts will, like, you need to come into this looking for the long run. Like, you can't look for any shortcuts, bro, at all.
1,000%. No, you just have to do it. And I agree. I mean, it's hard. I'm very fortunate now. I have a couple really good guys. Zach is one of them. Again, Cohen's Constrictors. I can't shout him out enough because he's really helped me. And Zach is freaking awesome. And I got other guys. I got Nick from Revive Reptiles and Greg, and he doesn't have any social media, but they're just really good people. And they there's times where I'll tell them, like, all right, guys, I'm going to do this cleaning this week because I need to get into every cage. I really do. And I'm down here during the week. I'm looking at stuff. If there's stuff in the water bowls, I'm swapping them out. I'm doing the maintenance. But once a week, we'll usually do like a full clean. Everything gets kind of, not the bins emptied, but I use, bedding. But they'll do like a real thorough clean. Water bowls will get soaked and refilled. And that's a once a week deal for me. But then I'll spot clean throughout the week as stuff needs it, refill water, do spot clean as I see it. And but it's essential to really understand your animals. If you want to be successful, you have to do it. And I hate that I keep using analogies, but it is an art form. If I sold my whole collection, or if I just disappeared tomorrow and you came down here, or Zach or whoever else came down here to take this over, you would do stuff differently than I do it. And it would either be more or less successful than I do it. Everybody is doing things with the same animal, same setup. It really is. It's like paint night. You go to paint night, you get 20 people painting the same thing. It all looks totally different. And that's how I think reptiles, which is so cool, is that you could have 20 people doing the exact same thing and we all come up with something completely different. And there'll be some similarities, but for the most part, everybody is doing a different picture. And that's what I enjoy about it. You really need to be super passionate about what you're doing if you're going to be successful, or just stop. This is not the business. Go open a coffee shop. That, go buy your. but it is. The selling of the animals truly is in the breeding and maintaining. People think like it's a get rich quick scheme, and that, again, I think remnants of the ball python industry and the message they used to promote. But when you actually look into it and people buy the animals, it's not that easy. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's work. It's a business. It is a business. You can't just buy equipment, buy animals, and go. The same way you can't just buy the most expensive coffee makers, buy the nicest coffee beans, open up the nicest store with all the nicest shit, and expect people to walk in when your coffee sucks. And like you said, your customer service sucks and you have no advertisement or no promotion. Like, it doesn't work that way. You may have some success, but it's not going to be where it should be.
So biggest facts I'm about to spit right now. And this is probably a little dicey because we're in a different time and day and age. But if Kabelka wasn't Kabelka, let's say the guy said, fuck YouTube, fuck social media. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to stay in my building. I'll go to shows and sell. That motherfucker would still be a millionaire. He would still be a millionaire. Mind you, the social media has helped out so much. Like, he's a global sensation because what he's done. But there are people out there, Jason, that I've met at shows and I'm like, holy shit, what's your Instagram? And I see what they're doing. And I'm like, you own this shit? How long have you been doing this? 20 something fucking years? And they're just like, I just do shows and I just chill. And what else do you do? I do this full time. What? You've been doing this full time for 20 years? That not everyone gives a fuck about the limelight, bro. And the thing is, if you come into this, it depends who your surrounding is. It depends what I hope you don't have a timeline. Have fun with it. But I don't know. You could definitely get away with not being in social media, but it's kind of like stupid if you don't, because I mean, these people have the connections they have because they've been around with years before social media. So they've built something before this was this. I'm sure if these people were to come into the game now with nothing, like let's just say they bought their first snake, dude, look at the information out there. So it's like you get glued to the platforms because you have to learn. You have to be a part of certain things, because if you're not going to feel like you're growing. So it's just, but I could tell you out there, man, there's people out there who don't have shit social media and they have heat. Dude, and I know you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's people out there that you would have never thought, and they're just making a killing, bro.
Yeah, and you can certainly make a lot of money doing this. Like, you can. I don't ever want to say you can't. My wife is really pushing me. I mean, more so now than ever. Like, why don't you stop doing what you're doing and do snakes full time? Because it is a full time job. I make more with snakes than I make.
Wait, what do you do? What do you do for your job, Jason?
I'm an engineer, so I do.
That's legit.
But it pays well. So I'm an engineer, pays well, but this pays well too. And I just feel like I don't ever.
Do you hate your job, Jason? Like, do you fucking hate your job? Don't lie.
There's days that I do, but there's days that I don't. If I were to do snakes full time, I would need to get probably 4 or 5 times the amount of animals that I have.
Wow.
And I would be bored. I would be like, what am I going to do? Like, clean the water for like the 7th time in a day? Like, I would get bored. I wouldn't actually be able to do what I'm doing because I'd be in the bins all the time. you have to let these animals be. Like
start a podcast, bro. We could use someone legit. I can tell you that much. I mean, dude, here's the thing, and not attacking nobody. I'm just saying there's people out there who are very heavy on the microphone, but not so heavy on the animal keeping. And it's like, if you're going to be in the reptile world, your voice should match your animal resume. And I know there's a lot of new people out there who've only been in the game for so long, and God bless, but bro, you've been around for a long time. So you just have so much to relate to what's relevant. And what's relevant, Jason, is the animals. It's not the drama. It's not the fucking, like, did you hear? No, like, what's going on with your projects? Can we talk about your animals and get to the fucking truth of what we're talking about here? And there's just not enough of that, man. Like, and that's why I love this title, Coolest Reptile Podcast in the World, because that's what makes the podcast cool, is the reptiles. It's all about the reptiles. I mean, I have so many different diverse reptile keepers I brought into the show, which makes this the coolest fucking show on earth when it comes to reptile stuff. But we need more of that, is what I'm saying, bro. Like,
that's why I wanted to come on, because I saw it and I watched a few. I'm like, this is legit. You get good people on here. It's not like some bullshit. And you have fun with it, which is, I
love it. I have so much fun, bro. Like, I've never had so much fun. And I don't know. I just love talking about stuff. Like, even going on other people's podcasts, even though I don't do them a lot, it's fun. I get into the zone of, like, I see why the guests have fun. I really do, because holy shit, like, this is when you have an engagement and it's about something that you've been loving your whole life. Like, Jason, this has been your life, bro. Snakes have been your life. And now you have just shy of 100 people listening about all this. Like, yeah, this is a fun fucking time. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. No, and honestly, I that's what really, I balance both sides. Big thing for me is, hell yeah, Lance, I appreciate that. Big thing for me is that there was a time when I was trying to make snakes my living, and I had a female snake. She ovulated, and this happened, that she ovulated and she died. And the first thought that came to my head was, damn, I'm not going to get babies from that animal that I've been raising for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, wait, that's the wrong perspective. If that's the first thought that came to my mind, I need to reassess, because I was already so invested in these animals that I was thinking about the money that I lost, as opposed to, shit, that was an animal that I've been raising for it was probably 4 or 5 years at this time, but I was raising for 4 to 5 years, and like, I should care about that animal before the money that I could have made from that animal. So I somewhat, made myself a promise a long time ago to never make reptiles my living, my sole source of income, because I didn't want to have to rely on getting that animal to breed, putting it in an unhealthy situation. And that's why I say, if I were to do this full time, I would have to significantly expand. 1, because I would get bored, but 2, because I would need to have animals always ready to go, to always produce babies. So that's, and I could, but it wouldn't be like I just screw off. Like 40 to 50 hours a week, I would be cleaning snakes. I would be down here from 8 to 5. I would be messing with snakes, cleaning them, feeding them, ultrasounding them. I don't really use an ultrasound, but taking notes and just understanding what's happening with them, preparing for breeding season, taking new pictures, putting them on my website. I have photos that are probably a year old of animals on my website that should probably be updated. They look awesome. The snakes now way better than they do in the pictures, but that's what I would do if I went full time, is just dedicate 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week to this, as opposed to 50, 60 hours a week to my work and another 20 hours, 30 hours here. So, and doing YouTube and all the other stuff. And now I have other stuff I'm doing in the side too. So it's all starting to add up. But I like what I do. I don't hate my job. It has perks, has its ups and downs. I work a lot, but I'd get bored if I didn't.
And I sympathize with anyone in that position who, like, yeah, they maybe wake up wanting to do something else that day, but at the end of the day, it's a job that provides, and man, that, like I said, bro, last job I had was the worst job I ever had in my entire life, and I was legit straight miserable. Like, I was like, but I told myself I'm gonna give myself 5 years. Like, I dude, gave myself the fucking pyramid scheme, fucking 5-year goal thing, thinking ball python. I'm thinking I'm going to be rich enough to just do ball pythons full time in 5 years. Literally told myself as I got hired at this fucking GM job at Office Depot. Okay. Like what the fuck? Like, dude, it was the most craziest experience of my life, but I was the most sad and like, but what made me happy was going home to the animals and living this pipe dream I was trying to live out, right? Until the podcast came. And mind you, it was obviously more work, but I still had my 9 to 5. And then what happened was, thankfully, I was at a Slipknot concert and I blew my knee out in a mosh pit. Shout out to Matthew Summers. You know what's funny? Long story short, my boy Matthew Summers, one of my first best friends in this. I'm by myself in the mosh pit at Slipknot. The curtain's about to go up, and I hear, "Hey MJ, Trap Talk," and I'm like, who the fuck just said my name? I'm by myself. He's like, "Hey, I watch your stuff on YouTube." And I was like, "What?" And I had just came out with the YouTube channel, and I was like, I couldn't believe this motherfucker at like 60,000 people, you know, and it was like, I'll never forget that. And then the show starts, my knee I go in the mosh pit, and boom, my knee was already fucked up, but then I just gone, bro, just took to pieces, right? So I need knee surgery, so I'm off work for like 3 months, okay? But I did a fucking podcast every week. I was already here, mind you. I had already started the other podcast with Forrest Fanning, rest in peace, Unfiltered Reptiles podcast. That was our original podcast, right? But right before my knee surgery, he was bitching about how I kept wanting ball python people on the show. And he's like, I don't want to bring ball python breeders on. I'm like, bro, but they're my friends. He's like, I don't care. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to come out with I'm going to have another show. I'm going to call it Trap Talk, and I'm going to bring ball python people on because I want to learn more. So I came out with this, but then my knee surgery, I got hurt, and then I just went heavy on this, bro. But I did this for 2 years, still having the 9 to 5. And what pushed this over the edge was COVID. So COVID happened. My store shut down. Okay. Basically, godsend, the store fucking shut down because of COVID. And I had unemployment, and I knew I had however much time I had unemployment to prove to my wife I don't need to go back to a 9 to 5. And she was like, she's like, ask me every day, you looking for jobs? You looking for jobs? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm for sure looking for fuck. I was milking the shit out of that COVID because I was doing everything I could to make sure, because I told myself I never want to go back. I'm talking about, I could see why people shoot themselves. Like I could, I'm not kidding, bro. Like there was times where like I had to pet myself to go to work, and I just didn't want, and like miserable. I'm talking about miserable, Jason, like miserable. And
like you're in a cycle and you can't get out of it.
It was a life or death thing for me, bro. And I told myself, dude, you better make this easy, because even if she says you're going back to work, you know you're not going back. You're done. Like you're fucking. I'm checked out. I'm done with corporate America. I was so fucking just mentally done, and I just went hard in the paint, bro. And luckily, I would have done what I was doing and still had the job, but luckily because of COVID, and I had that store shut, and I had about a year of unemployment where I just fucking literally lived the life as a fucking full-time breeder, you know, because I at that time I had like what, about 8 to 10 ball python clutches. So I was making just shy of 100K just off ball pythons already. You know what I mean? So like I had that, but bro, I did not, like you said, I did not want to have to rely on that money. Something told me this money seems a little too good to be true. And it was all COVID money. It was all people just, dude, 2020 is my first year selling snakes. I sold out. I sold out so quick, bro. And I was like, holy shit, is this real life? But I felt like, you know, because I had so many other friends who've told me that it all goes like this. It always goes like this. But COVID made this shit go so peak to the fucking top to where now people are feeling it a little bit, but we're fine. It all goes like this all the time. But I never wanted to rely on the snakes, bro, because first and foremost, I mean, knock on wood, this could all drop dead tomorrow. We don't know. Like, it's so scary to rely on this shit. They're animals. You know what I mean?
And you got a good enough collection now that I'm assuming that you have stuff going. You have a good enough collection that you don't need to rely on. You can cycle. If there's an animal that's not ready to breed, let it have that other year.
Oh yeah.
You're not forced to put animals in harm because you need to make money from them. And that's where I was going. That's why I said, if I were to do it, I'd need to expand. I need to get more. I need to really do different sources. I need to ramp up my YouTube, things like that. There's ways to do it. And you're doing that, which is friggin' awesome, dude. So happy for you. That's
Thanks,
something for, like, you fell into it through COVID. And I love the story that, like, you just hated your job. You couldn't do it anymore. And it worked out. So, like, what the hell, that's awesome. It's like where we should all support each other,
But, like, there's people out there who don't, like, they don't have it bad. Like, I had it bad, I'm telling you. So I just felt like, I could understand people to where, think about healthcare, think about people who have kids and they need healthcare. They have really good, their family relies on them for their health insurance. That's tough, bro. Like, how are you going to fucking throw that out the window and pay for that shit with the snakes? Dude, yeah. Scary.
You could do it, but you have to be smart about it. And it really is, what is your standard? And that's where, like, somebody, it's actually Kevin. I said, Kevin, how can I make a living breeding snakes? This was years ago. I wanted to open up a pet store. And he's like, don't open up a pet store. He's like, if you want to open up a pet store, do it. But I would never talk you out of it. But he says, it's more difficult than you think. But, and he said, what is a lot of money? Is it 60,000? Is it 100,000? Is it $1 million? And in doing this now, like, if somebody said to me, I want to make $1 million breeding reptiles every year, I could probably tell you how to do it. Now, it's going to take investment. It's going to take time. It's not going to be a year later. And what kills me is I don't do it myself. And, so I could tell you how to do it, but I don't do it myself. Part of that is I don't want it. I don't want to do that. It's a lifestyle that is not where I want to go. Now, couple $100,000, hell yeah. I can do that as a side job, and I can still do my other job, and I can do all kinds of other cool shit, and I have free time. But if you're talking, you want to make big money in reptiles, you need to seriously, it's like anything, you got to work your ass off, and you have to have a big collection. You got to take big risk, and it's going to be so damn stressful at times. But, like, if you want to,
Jason, let's be honest. Like, there's levels to big money. Like, to certain people, big money means certain much. I know I've seen the type of money in this snake game where it's more than enough. I'm like, holy shit. So I feel like you do good with what you get when it's up, and when you're down, you're smart. This is a fucking game. You got to be strategic. You got to know how to keep people on the fucking back end wanting to buy shit from you. Like, you want to know what saved my ass this year? And I'm not selling. I'm still selling shit, but, like, dude, like, I had some breeders that just laid for me the year before, and I could have bred them again. But at the end of the day, like, I'm being smart about overhead. And so, like, I'm like, what are the needs? Like, what are the clutches I fucking need? Not the shit that I made last year. And so I thought about that in the beginning of the year before even things went. And I figured out I need to find out people who are just wanting to get their feet wet, or, who would want these females. And I was able to get, like, just move shit out with that I felt like I'm just going to feed it to breed something to just eventually I could be sitting on these babies for, like, how long? You know what I mean? And I just, dude, you got to breed with what you want to make. Breed with what you need. And it'll always, even if you have to sit on them, you're sitting on something that you need. And you're like, hey, looks good, and it's just
you breed what you like, you breed what you want. And in some sense, you have to take a risk and try to predict what's going to happen. Not usually if everybody's buying something, that is the last thing I want to buy. Because when everybody's buying it, they're all going to be producing it at the same time.
True. So dude, facts.
An albino boa, everybody's on I'm just using that. And albino boas are everywhere now. But if everybody wants to buy an albino boa, I'm not buying an albino boa. I'm going to buy this one that nobody's looking at, because eventually they're going to need that to put into the albinos. And I really, honestly, genuinely think that rainbow boas are next. I don't think they will ever get to the same level of, and I've invested heavily in rainbow boas this year and last year. And I don't think they'll ever get to the same level of, like, a ball python, and probably not of a boa constrictor. But I really feel that rainbow boas, you look on Morph Market, there's like 300 of them out there right now. And once people get over the fact that a rainbow boa, the animal itself, is cooler than just the iridescent animal that people see, although it's a super cool animal with iridescence, I really think rainbow boas are going to pick up, because they are smallish, typically pretty friendly, eat readily, They are more strict in terms of how they're kept. They have to be kept humid as babies, but they're awesome animals. And I think they're going to be the next wave. Carpet pythons are somewhat there. They have their market. Chondros and tree boas and pythons always have their steady market. An emerald tree boa will never be the next big thing. They will always have their market, but it will never be a ball python. It's just by the nature of it. Same thing with the carpet python. Blood pythons potentially too. I think bloods will get another wave. They've had a bunch of little waves, and I think as soon as the pieds come in and the pieds start coming, they're definitely going to take off. I think the pieds bloods are going to make bloods take off. Blood python morphs are weird though. They're not like as genetic. I think I don't know them well enough. And blood. When I say bloods, I'm talking short tails and all that stuff. But I do think that rainbow boas they're next. They're like a mix between a boa and a corn snake, and they're a perfect size. They're a step up from the interesting fact of a ball python. They're a step down in size and easier to keep, feed, and maintain than a boa. So I think that's the next wave.
Let's be honest. Come on, Jay. Let's be honest here. Ball pythons. I mean, yeah, okay. The odds didn't go in your favor. That's the kind of heartbreak a ball python will do to you, right? But it's not going to fucking just drop dead. You know what I mean? And nothing would hold a candle to a fucking chondro if the chondros wouldn't just shit on your heart and put it in a blender. But the chondros is legendary for making, this is great. Good job keeping me. And then right when you breed them, disaster. And there's just so many goddamn stories. And so chondros, not for the faint at heart. People want to protect their heart. People don't want to go through that. And it's unfortunate because that kind of grows you as character. I told you about how I broke down and cried when my first Neo died on me, right? And then I had a buddy. I remember like my dad kind of like slapped me around a little bit. And I talked to my buddy Andrew Acevedo, who like I give him so much credit for him telling me things that just sunk in my head. And he told me, hey man, you probably shouldn't if you can't really handle this kind of thing, you probably shouldn't keep green tree pythons because this is what happens with them. And I'm like, what, really? But it made me feel good because I'm like, hold on. So this happens. Like, this is like, you know what I mean? And he just kind of just prepared me for shit. And I was so determined to owning one again. I was like, I need one. And so I told myself, well, listen, if shit dies, it fucking dies. Get over it. Like and especially because, bro, I told you I was getting imports. So I was getting shit that would fucking die. I can tell you that, but my freezer is pretty impressive. I got to say.
Well, that's a big problem with a lot of, even with boas, boa constrictor, with a lot of the chondros and emeralds and stuff. I mean, all of that, the imports got some serious shit coming in with them, serious diseases that can spread quickly. Dude. That's where you need to learn quarantine.
Yes.
If you're getting imports, you need to live quarantine because that shit can hide for years and then come out. And I think that it's a very difficult market. Once you get a captive bred collection going, I think a lot of those experiences go away. I'm not, the chondro expert by any means, but I know that captives typically don't have the same issues that the wild caughts come, but they're expensive and hard to find. So it shit spreads so fast, man. There's like all kinds of bad shit comes in with the imports.
And it's the dice you roll with them. And I'm like, bro, half this wall right here is imports that I was able to establish when I first got into it. And they're fucking gorgeous, right? But like, hey man, they made it. You know what I mean? But I'm good. I'm like this is such a sealed off room. And who knows? I've had them 5-6 years. I've heard stories of people just having something for so long and it goes when it goes, right? Yeah. But you could prevent it. Like when you have something that's been going well for so long, don't add shit to it. There has to be a certain point in time. And let me tell you real quick, Jason, there's no financial gain in this room whatsoever. This is a passion room. I mean, I've had a couple chondro clutches under my belt, but no Neos alive to talk about it. I've been through the ringer with the chondros, but I'm living and learning. I'm loving this. I love that. Okay, I don't need a pair of things, but I want a pair so I can learn. I want to hold anything back that is produced from this room. There's nothing I'm even thinking about selling. And that kind of what gets me out of bed every night, bro, is this fucking room right here. I love that shit,
Absolutely. No, and that's how it should be, man. I have projects that I've been breeding for years and I've never sold a baby. And they're boas, but it's just like my dinker project. Literally, I have 3-4 generations and I've never sold a baby, or I've sold a couple because I'm like, I can't keep absolutely everything, but I still know where all of these babies have gone. And it's funny, I finally figure out how to put comments here, so I'm seeing the comments. I would say colubrids and hognoses are not going to come back. I'd say they will peak. The difference between a colubrid and a hognose and a Brazilian rainbow boa is that colubrids and hognose already have a shit ton of combos. So they may see a spike, but there are not, there aren't like this pattern morph with this albino Brazilian rainbow. And that's why rainbow boas, I think, are going to be next, because it's like ball pythons in the early 2000s. Nobody's made combo morphs, and the morphs are coming.
Can I be honest with you, Jason? Like when you said rainbow boas, I was like, all right, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, there's some nice ones, but hold on, I ain't never seen this shit before. This is fucking sick, bro. Like, whoa, hold on. Okay, you got my attention, bro. Let's kind of dabble into where you think things are headed now, because these are morphs, right? Can we kind of talk about what's in your hand? And while you're talking, I'm gonna use the men's room real quick, but I can hear everything you're saying. So go ahead.
So that's a T positive, a caramel albino rainbow boa, and a het T positive, het caramel albino rainbow boa. They look like little reticulated pythons. They're super cool. They eat readily. And why I think the rainbow boas are going to be the next thing is because nobody's made this with a pattern morph into it. So this is like, again, imagine ball pythons, late 90s, early 2000s, boas, early 2000s. This is where the morph status is on these. And there's a lot more single gene morphs popping up in the rainbow boas. They're certainly not ball python level, but ball pythons, late 90s, early 2000s, didn't have a 1,000 different morphs. There were 5 or 10 or 20 different morphs, and people were trying to make combos. So I really genuinely believe that this is next. And once people, again, get over the fact that a rainbow boa doesn't need to be red to be cool. Now, certainly there's a super cool appeal. I have a badass looking, really red, iridescent rainbow boa, and it's hard to beat that. But the snake itself is awesome. So I think once people get over the fact that a rainbow boa is cool for other reasons than it being iridescent in this bright cherry red color, I think they'll catch on that these are really awesome animals. Again, it's like its own little morph, and they dull out a little bit as they get older, but they're still, to me, they got greens, lavenders, pinks, stuff that the camera doesn't pick up. And again, imagine putting a stripe onto that animal. Nobody's done it yet. That's why rainbow boas are next.
Damn.
So that's
coming from the man. That's sick. Dude, this gets me excited. I mean, bro, I need to hear shit like this, because everyone's a lot of money here. I'm probably spending close to $100,000 in the past 12 months coming up on rainbow boas. Because I'm sorry,
yeah.
Continue.
No, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, what was the influence behind it? Like somebody that you're close with, or a breeder that you saw working with them? Like, what really pushed you to go ahead and just say, fuck it, I'm gonna go heavy on these?
I bred rainbow boas in the past, and I've actually, my second boa was a rainbow boa, and I thought it was super cool. And then I bred rainbow boas in the past. It was off and on. And years ago, I got a lot of heat for, look at that animal. How cool is that thing? So so I got a lot of heat for raising the price of rainbow boas. So this was probably 6 or 7 years ago, and the rainbows, they were going for like $100 a piece, and I sold mine for $350, and people gave me all kinds of shit for it. So there's an adult, an older animal, but people gave me all kinds of crap for that. That might be a T negative albino. So I have some T negative albinos too. But people gave me all kinds of crap for raising the price. And I'm like, listen, these animals are too cheap. They're not expensive enough. And I raised it. And now look at the price of rainbows. A normal rainbow boa is $400, $500 for a normal. And there's no morphs. Morphs of a T positive is right now $2,500. I predict once that gains traction, that price is going to go up. It's not going to go down, because they're fairly simple to breed. They're just like breeding all the other boas. So I do think that rainbow boas are certainly the next. Why I went heavily into them is I was on Morph Market, and I'm thinking, like, where is the market heading? Just me overanalyzing stuff. Colubrids, monitors, ball pythons, Burmese pythons, blood pythons, different types of boas, ground boas, Madagascar ground boas, And this was one spot that I saw. There's a lot of morphs, but there's not a lot of combos, and there's not a lot of animals, and there's a very select group of people. And honestly,
this is sick right here. What's this? Is
that's
this
just
normal?
That's a Het T positive, or I'm sorry, a Het T negative. But that's
there's influence with the Het, I'm assuming.
They get some high white sides. Some will have a lot of high white sides, and
that's nice.
So I mean, but to your point right there, you went to the normal. So a lot of people still really love normal rainbow boas, and that normal rainbow boa market is gonna stay strong. And then once those people get engaged in rainbows, they're gonna move to the morphs. So this is not a current present market. This isn't like today. Rainbow boas are going to explode. I would say in 5 years, rainbow boas are going to be.
Oh, these are nice, dude. These are sick. Oh, that's sick. I like that.
So
like, I want one.
I mean, rainbow boas, I think in 5 years will be what everybody is buying. So I'm trying to buy them all now, so that in 5 years, I'm the person they all buy from. That makes sense. It's just how the market works, you know. But I still love my bows. I would never take over my whole collection with rainbows. I have some rainbows that I don't have on my Instagram too.
Are these corn snakes?
Yeah, I mean they're corn snakes. I just think they're cool animals. So I think
these are cool. Like, it's like I said, I've hung out with Barcheck quite a bit, and every time I go to a reptarium, he has a bunch of these fucking sick ass corn snakes, and like it's like what an impressive animal. I feel like, you know, you're talking about carpets too, and like you want to talk about an underrated fucking species kept in the hobby. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it, you know, but like carpets are just like, that's an impressive snake, and these are just, we see these in person, they're very unique in all their own way. Like you don't see shit like this. You know what I mean? It's I appreciate stuff like this a lot.
That's why I bought it. It's my fun project. If I never sell them, fantastic. Honestly, I'll probably lose half of them in my room because they're so small as babies. Right. Just being totally transparent, I'd definitely lose them somewhere. But but no, they're just, I just think corn snakes are cool. But boas are still my passion. Burmese pythons, I like berms. I don't chase the morphs, but I mean, look how badass that boa is, right?
I'm obsessed. But what do you think of the boa game? How let's kind of talk about the current stage of the boa game in 2023. I mean, if you're in the boa game, you're breeding, are you in a good place, or what do you think?
Depends on what you're breeding. You know, I think that I think boas are going to stay absolutely strong. I think the snake market in general is still strong. I mean, so part of what I do for work is I do a lot of I do dredging, so like coastal restoration, environmental remediation, things like that, mainly related to like water and sediment where the land water meets. And I will often deal with ports. And the big thing that the ports are experiencing with this whole COVID thing is that people switched how they spend. So people didn't buy vacations anymore. They bought goods. So they switched from buying, you know, experiences to goods and services, or they switched from buying services to goods. So that's why the snake market exploded. Now, although the economy is still going to shit itself, people are still going to buy goods. So snakes are going to stay strong, and snakes are honestly a perfect recession-based business because you can do it while you're still working, while you're still doing other stuff. If you don't have hundreds of them, the overhead is fairly low if you set yourself up right, and you can actually make return. The biggest thing is you need to sell and buy and sell and buy, and it fuels the market and educate others, which expands your market. And I actually think snakes they're going to be fine. Boas are going to be fine. Ball pythons, I think, are going to be tough, because there's a lot of them. That's
why, listen, at the end of the day, I love that you said that, because a lot of people don't understand, especially coming into the ball python game, how tough it is, right? But it's meant to be like that. You're supposed to kind of underestimate it and then hit a point like, holy shit, this is what these people are making right now. And this is why it all depends who you hang around with. You hang around with the top G's in the ball python game, you're going to know what the fuck to get and what not to get. And there are people out there who just make things so easy to like understand what to invest in and what not to invest in. And that's where the ball python game is. But the thing is, it's deep pocket shit right now. But it's deep pockets with being patient, with building your brand, which is very important, right? Like I said, you could come into this game, buy a proven breeder collection, and then hit something amazing. But who the fuck are you? Where'd you like? It's and like the only thing you could probably sell is maybe to the breeder you bought the collection from. Maybe that, but that's like one person. What are you going to do? Right? But that it just it all comes with time. Like time's on your side. Like if you're like, hey, I got nothing but time, I'm not in a rush, then dude, God bless you. You're gonna have a good time. That's all I gotta say.
And I don't think ball pythons are dead by any means. I just think it is more difficult because a lot of people bought in, they produced, they didn't get that instant return they thought they were going to get, and they're selling their whole collections. So I think that's the difference between boas and ball pythons, and it happens in boas too, but it's more prominent in ball pythons just by the nature of the volume of animals people have, the volume of people in ball pythons. But that's fine because there's a larger volume of people coming in and buying those collections. They're the next generation, and we need to continue creating that next generation. Promoting, doing what you're doing what I'm doing. You just getting the word out there and supporting each other and continuing to grow the market, or it will totally go stagnant because we can't keep buying shit from each other.
The next generation needs to be diverse. Okay. There can't just be these fucking, I breed this and that's that. Well, guess what? When that's not hot, what are you going to do? You're going to sell shit. And then what? You know what I mean? Like you can't just rely on one thing, man. Like especially if you're able, and I'm not saying spread your fucking everything everywhere, but there's so many things to be obsessed with in this hobby. If you really love reptiles, pick your poison. You can pick whatever the fuck you want, but take your time, find out what it is that you're really obsessed over, and just dabble more than, because you know how refreshing it is to, like, I come in this room and I don't think about money. Like this is all like guests, podcasts. Who do I want on the show? That's what happens when I'm in here. Now, when I go to the trap where all the ball pythons are, it's money. It's like, it's money, right? So I have and that gets me excited. Dude, I fucking love money. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not money. Motherfucker, I'm a hustler. I love money. Okay. But I also am like I said, being logical. Like that big year I had selling ball pythons, I kind of knew, like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I understand big breeders now, but I feel like this isn't something that's going to happen every fucking year. And it just made me and mind you, bro, like, yes, I didn't really research the way people should with dabbling the amount of species that I had at one point, bro. I had over 15 species of snakes in my trap, but I figured out and I grew a lot of them up to the point to where when I hit that point where I wasn't having fun, and what I mean by that, like, so many different species to focus on, and I was trying to be a wannabe nerd, right? And I just knew I wasn't having fun. I still had healthy animals and enough people following me to figure out, well, who would really want these animals? And and what's crazy is, like, these animals I was getting thousands for them. And I'm like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? And I know, and I wasn't expecting it. I got the animals wanting to do good by them, but then it just, a couple years down the road, I'm like, dude, I this doesn't make sense to me anymore. And I put them in the right hands. And bro, that got me, man. And like I said, wasn't expected. Like, I wasn't buying that animal saying I'm going to sell it in 2 years. I just had collateral. Like, I had shit where if I had to move it and I needed money, it was no problem. You know what I mean?
Well,
diverse.
You touched on a good piece. I think that whatever people start with, they should really just be passionate about it as a hobby 100%. And try to turn it into a business if they want. But then every year or every couple of years, I'll add something different, just to keep it interesting for me. I get bored. I can't look at the same, not that I get bored of boas, but like, I'm always looking for, like, what's going to really make me excited this year. And I try to add different things, different morphs. I mean, just looking in front of me, I have, boa constrictor longicauda. I have boa constrictor from Peru. Wow. I have pure Nicaraguan boas. I have Dumerils boas. I have Burmese pythons. I have corn snakes. I have milk snakes behind me. I got, rainbow boas. I have a lot of different stuff. I have Pearl Island boas. I have all different species, tarahamaras, and I've just added them in pieces but I've got one thing under control, and I said, all right, I'm ready to try something new, and I've added a different thing. And I think too many people just try to get it all at once, and every species is a little different. Like, breeding a tarahumara is different than a Pearl Island, that's different than a Peruvian. It's just very different animals to breed, similar but different. And I think too many people try to just shotgun, I'm going to go for everything. And if you're doing it because you love it and you want that animal, then you should do that. But when you're trying to learn how to breed, it's important to understand the animal, and then you can figure out the different nuances. Like, all right, hey, this species actually, for instance, my Nicaraguan boas, almost all my Nicaraguan boas have bred, ovulated, and are sitting on babies. Where I have Colombian boas that are Colombian based, they're still imperator, but they're still building follicles, and only a handful of them have bred. My bloods, which are more Nicaraguan based, have bred and ovulated partially. So they're like half Colombian, half Nicaraguan. So even between species, they're breeding at different times. And once you understand what the snake is doing, you can breed anything. It's so easy. Like just the snake is doing something weird. Like my Burms, they give themselves respiratory infections every winter because they sit on the cold side and they will make themselves as cold as possible all the time. And then in the summer, it goes away. It's just what happens to them. It's like they're like booger magnets. They spit shit everywhere, but it's just what they do when they're breeding. For me, at least, I think everybody's was.
But okay, like, you know, how frustrating is it? And like I said, God bless people who are passionate and excited to want to grow, right? But when there's people who are trying to rush it so bad, and like, think about it. Like, imagine if you had somebody who wanted to know everything that you knew, but wanted to learn it in 1 year. Like, what the fuck? It's impossible to retain that much. Like, even like there's probably stuff that you had just figured out maybe last year. You know what I mean? Because, but like, dude, Jason, you're at where you're at because of the time, brother. Like you just put in your work, and you know, there's things that, you know, people say, MJ, you grew pretty fast. And I think because the amount I put on my plate and there was times where I was pressured. You know, I don't recommend what I did, but because what I did, because of the shit that a lot of people take forever to dabble in, I was able to kind of see the raw truth of how this shit works. Like I knew these animals couldn't be with my ball pythons. Like I needed their own room. They dropped temps down to the 60s, and like that's what made me understand them. And that kind of I just want to keep this going. And the thing is, no disrespect, but there's only so much you can learn from a ball python. Like it doesn't want nothing to do with you. It likes a humid, dark space, likes to eat, and likes to get boned, and that's it. And it'll make you some cool shit. But what's gonna like give you a, I don't know, like I get personalities out of this. You want to talk about these, the monitors? Holy shit. Bro.
I saw you get some badass lace monitors. Those are so cool.
Dude,
those are so badass.
Here's the thing. I know I'm probably back and forth, Jason, but if I could just fucking won this shit, I would probably, like, if it was no financial attachment, like money wasn't an issue, I'm balling out of control, I know I'm set for life, God bless, I'd probably keep 10 ball pythons. Everything else has to go. I take that back. No ball pythons. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I would just have what's behind me. I would probably have some scrub pythons because I am addicted to scrubs. Okay. Man, I can't. Here's the thing. We haven't talked about retics yet. I have a super dwarf retic project. Like I have a couple super dwarfs, but dude,
my 42 eggs, dude.
Okay. Yeah. A super dwarf isn't supposed to lay 42 eggs, bro.
That's all right. That's okay. That's I'd take 42 over 2. So good. For you, dude.
I'm happy with that. But again, like what a workload ahead of me now, right? And I'm in it. Like here's the thing, I'm in it, right? But man, I just sometimes, for instance, walk into this room and just imagine, what if I just had this? But mind you, like I want to be busy. Like I like that I'm stuck in there, right? But like I know if time goes on and I'm 50 something, 60 years old, am I gonna want to be in that money room all the fucking time, wondering? Like I just feel like I'd be tapped out by then. I just want to have shit to where if I give you a price, I'm trying to scare you off. Like I'm going to give you a price where you're not going to like this, but if you want to pay for it, you can pay for it. That type of thing. Like that's kind of my end goal, bro, because that's happy. That's a happy place to be. Like how you were saying, like people got mad at you for upping the price. Oh, please be mad at me for upping the price. I dare you. Like, please. If I find out you're mad that I upped the price, I'm going up another 1,000.
I did. They were pissed because I put Peruvian boas, I think, at like 2,500 a couple of years ago, and this year I did them for 4,500. And you know what? They're friggin' worth it, dude. Peruvian boas, go find another Peruvian boa. Now, granted, there were a lot of Peruvian boas born this year, but when I say a lot, I'm talking like 30. There were like 30 or 40 Peruvian boas. So there's people that have no problem spending $10,000 on a ball python where there's thousands of them, but they won't spend $4,500 on a Peruvian boa that is you can't even get from the wild anymore. It's stocked up lineage, and there's like 30 of them that were made this year. Like, come on, like the too cheap. So, and touching on your point, and it's I would love to just have like a small collection. And to your point, well, to get there, you'd have to have some banger years, save your money, and then say that's it. You know, like I'm just going to have my smallest collection. You don't need to rely on it for money. That's the problem. That's why you have the other room. because that funds, or you'll be back at Office Max hating your life again.
like listen, like I said, like the financial situation would have to be so, I would have to fucking hit some inheritance or the lotto, like, because the ball python money's good, even though regardless of who's spending what, I'm still making money off ball pythons, and I'm still doing better than I did the year before. It's just not at the volume. It's not at the like the pace. It goes when it goes. You know what I mean? But
I'm glad you said that. Before I lose my thought on that, that is the biggest problem with ball pythons and boas and the newer keepers, is they think that they're going to make an animal and like in a week they're going to sell out. Like, no, I have animals that are almost a year and a half old, and like literally one just sold. Like it's all about just getting the right person at the right time to see that animal. And that may not happen. You may sit on these animals for a year and a half, 2 years. And then all of a sudden that person's like, that's the animal I've been looking for. It's like, well, you've been on my website for 2 years. I didn't see it. And it sells. So like people are too rushed. And what they do is they start dropping their price. And I get it. They're like, oh, the overhead to keep this animal, but it's a short-sighted market. So there was a YouTube video I saw, I forget who did it. And the majority of it was good, but I thoroughly disagreed with when he said, just sell it for cheap and blast it out, because the overhead
so stupid.
Well, and his rationale made sense, but it was short-sighted. Is they said, well, to keep that animal, you could keep it for another 4 months, and that's going to cost you the $50 that you just knocked off. But it's short-sighted because you will never get that price for those animals again. So if you want to keep this as a business and as a market, you need to keep those prices at a reasonable level where you can make a profit. And it's the unfortunate side. We're doing this because we love it. And a result of it is because we have a profit from it. But when it becomes too expensive to produce because people aren't buying it for prices that are worth your time, you stop producing. And I'll just become a keeper again. And what happens is the price raises again because people can't find shit. And it's just this cycle. It just happens. You know, it's if you can just keep animals, sit on them long enough, know that they're going to sell, always check your price, because prices are going up and down. If you're at $2,000 for an animal that's selling for $100, like, yeah, you're not going to sell it. But if you're at $2,000, you're the only person with that animal, keep it there. Just wait for the right person to come along. Unless, you know, then you're also set the market price too. So that's Dumerle's boas. 3 years ago, they were $100, $200. People lost their shit on me when I raised them to $800, and they sold out overnight. I had 19 of them. They sold out within an hour, for 2 hours, to be honest. And people were bullshit at me. And I'm like, listen, dude, I've been keeping these animals for years. I am not going to keep these animals and sell them for $100 a piece because you want it. The fact that they sold out that quickly tells me they're worth it. And you know what? I just made your investment worth it, because you're going to spend $800 and you're not going to get $100 for your babies anymore. You're going to get $800 for your babies, if not more. So people, they're just too short-sighted. They're, you know, and it goes both ways. I get it that somebody wanted it for $100. Well, somebody else will come along and give it to you for $100, but not me. So it's where we are in the market. You have to respect that this is somebody's livelihood. This is somebody like yourself who is trying to literally make a living doing this and is making a living. And you have to nurture that, or you're not going to be able to make a living anymore if people screw it up. So I think we have to respect the market as well.
And if you're in a situation where you do rely on snake, you know, production money, and you're not tapped into the market, then how the fuck do you ever expect to be ahead of the curve or anything? Like, you do have to do your homework. Like, you have to, first and foremost, go to shows. Like, man, like reptile show, like, think about being just a social media face. And let's say you have good momentum and wow, you're good at reels, but you never show your face to these people or ever make a relationship in person. That's not completing it. You have, like, I feel like making a goddamn effort to go to a Tinley or a Daytona or a reptile super show and seeing people that you built relationships who are vending and like, dude, that's the next step. It's marketing, and you never know who you're going to meet who either want that snake that you have that nobody knew you had, or something. Like, you just, there's just so, like, that's why, like, I always knew, like my boy Miguel, shout out to Miguel Garcia, but Miguel was like, dude, that was the guy who I was like, man, this guy goes to all the shows. And like, and then when I started going to shows, people fucking just love this guy because of the presence he created when going to shows. But he fucking flew his ass there every time. Like he did it and made the name by, basically putting his feet on the concrete and making a name for himself. But that's what you got to do. You know what I mean?
No, I like the shows. I don't do them as much anymore. I just got burnt out by them. And the shows today are very different than they used to be. And I think that's why, like, honestly, I've actually never been to a Tinley. I need to go so badly.
Oh my God. You need to, Jason, what the fuck?
I've never been to Tinley, I've never been to any of the big shows.
Jason, dog, there's so much on the bone. You're not even like you're not like, bro, the podcasting thing, like you could be, dude. I could think you could draw up a 2-year plan for you. I think I could create a 2-year plan for Jason where he could, respectfully put 2 middle fingers up to his work and say, fuck this shit. I'm good now. I'm telling you, bro, dude, if you already have the name that you have and you haven't been going to shows, that is crazy by me, bro.
Well, and it's like I said too, though. I mean, I literally sell everything I produce every year. My biggest problem
is you're good.
I don't produce enough.
Right.
I can't produce enough. And now, I'm looking, I have, I don't know, maybe 30 Burmese pythons left that by summer they're going to be gone. And then I have boas, but they're boas I haven't even posted on the website. There's probably like 10 or 15 boas that I haven't posted. So nobody can buy them because they're not posted anywhere. I struggle every year with, I cannot produce enough. And I produce anywhere from, my best year was probably like 500 animals. My worst year was probably like 100 animals. So anywhere from, let's say, on average, about 200 to 300 animals. Again, years will go up and down. And I sell out. I don't need to do the shows. I like the shows, though. I actually really enjoy seeing the people, but it's a lot of work to take the shows. And I get scared of diseases. And that's something I pride myself on, is like having a somewhat closed collection where I can sell a snake and I can promise you, like, you don't need to quarantine this. There's nothing wrong. I will always encourage people to. I said it's best practice, whether you get it from me or somebody else, just quarantine it, because then your shit that you got mites from didn't come from my animal. You can't, you get mites, like, well, it didn't come from mine because it didn't start on mine. Mine went to quarantine. But at the same time, I stick to what works for me. But I like the shows. I actually am going to go to Tinley. I was going to go this last round. Somebody wanted me to go. Shogun Snakes. Shout out to Shogun Snakes. Fozzie.
Oh, respect.
He's like, bro, let's go to Tinley. And I almost went. I think it was Fozzie. I don't know if he's on. He might be on. Fozzie's my man. He's friggin' awesome. He's my Canadian brother from an Arabian mother.
That's tight.
He's super cool. But yeah, I almost went to Tinley with him this year and I flaked out.
So October, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just going to do it. I have to make a time to do it. I had a kid this year too. So it made my life a little different this year.
I bet all for the better though, right?
Dude, my kid is so awesome. I never thought kids were this cool. I never figured out, like, I thought they were just messy. And like, why are you such a like, go get some teeth, kid. Like, what's wrong with you? And they just don't know how to do anything. Like they don't know how to put food in their mouth. So they slam it on their forehead or something. Like, it's super cool. My kid's the best. My kid's better than all the other kids.
I love it.
Except for other people that have kids. But super cool. So yeah, my life's changed, but no, I have to start doing shows. And I think it's just from being around the hobby and the industry for long. There's people who have way more time in it than I do, but I've always been honest. I didn't even start my Jason's Exotic Reptiles till like 2016. That's when I officially started Jason's Exotic Reptiles, but I've been breeding and selling animals just as Jason Raimondi for 20 years or 15 years before that. I think the new thing of getting a name is important now, but I never had t-shirts and stickers and stuff until like I really was producing volume. And even when I was producing volume, I was still just doing me, selling stuff online, doing things on Craigslist and stuff, and just building a name and contributing that way. And monitors are so badass, dude. I'm so happy you have the monitors. I saw the video today. I'm like, that's such a badass. I didn't mean to totally diverse.
No, you're good. No, monitors are just life changing. Like, like I was going to say, if I could, I would just have these in monitor. Not a lot of monitors because they are work. They're fucking a shit ton of work, but I just love the interaction. I love like I turn the lights on, see their pupils change. They see me, you know, sometimes they want to come to me, sometimes they don't. And it's just like, wow, this is fucking sick. You know, like it's like a dog, reptile dog, you know? Yeah. Fuck, what were we just talking? My mind just, what were we just talking about before that?
Shows. And I just did see a comment about Animal Con. I was supposed to go this year and I had to flake last minute because I got scheduled for a work trip, and it was like a client meeting and I just couldn't miss it. So I skipped out on Animal Con, which sucked.
So here's the thing. I feel like you could make so much, you could make up so much ground from you not going to a lot of shows throughout your career just by doing a panel at a fucking Animal Con. Because I got to tell you, Animal Con isn't about going to buy animals. It's about learning about animals. It's about seeing your favorite content creator, right? Which you know, you're known on YouTube still to this day, obviously, because your shit's out there. People still watch it. But like, that's a different type of connection. But that's the future, bro. Like, you know, here's the thing. Animal Con, what really made me like a fresh, like a deep breath of just fresh air was when I was doing, I was moderating the final Q&A panel on the main stage Saturday at Animal Con, and the first 4 rows was just full of kids. And I was like, fuck, look at all these kids. You know what I mean? And mind you, like, you know, Barchek knows I'm MJ. And if there's people, and dude, it was crazy. It's funny to say. So the topic of the final Q&A thing was top content creator. That was the you know, and so there were some people on the panel where I was like, this guy's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't wait. Like, I was like, I got questions, you know, and I kind of wanted, and, you know, and, you know, Barchek, you're letting me talk, you know? So I figured like I could have done whatever I wanted. But when I saw the kids there, I was like, dude, I don't want anything negative whatsoever. I was like, it just changed my whole perspective. So my questions became more wrapped around knowledge base, because this is what the future is, man. Like, you ask kids what they want to be when they grow up, it's YouTube. It's not a fucking astronaut anymore. It's not a fireman. It's not, they want to be a YouTube star. You know what I mean? And there's so many different ways you could be. There's people who just commentate or react to videos and they're a star. Like, you don't have to, it's like, whoa.
Well, and to that point, that's why you have to be in our reptile game today. It's like, you got free advertising. All you got to do is figure out something and do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's free advertising. I get more sales from YouTube than I get from Instagram, Facebook, Morph Market, all those platforms. It's people want to buy the why. They don't care what you're selling. They want to buy why you're selling it. And I feel like that's why, in some sense, I'll say successful, and I don't mean to say that in a cocky way, but I feel like that's why I've been successful, is because why I breed animals is because I love them. I'm passionate about them. I love breeding. I love the process of it. And the cool animals we make are like a super cool end result. But I'm not saying like, here's my animal, buy it, look at how cool it is. Like, I'm saying I bred this animal because like I wanted to do it for the past 10 years and I finally did it. Right. And people can relate. Like, I want to buy from a person like that. So I think too many people are trying to sell what they're producing and not why they're producing it first. It's you know, this is what I produce because I'm super passionate about it, as opposed to this is what I produce when I buy my animal. Different.
That's why like when it comes to you kind of relying on what you're selling within the first 2 years, you're selling someone else's project, bro. Like, you just bought something to catch up to what someone else is doing, but it's not your own. Like, you didn't sit on this shit for years and do something. Like, you know, here's the thing. The ball python tree is ginormous, right? But there's still motherfuckers creating their own branch. So there's it's just full. The tree's fucking really full, but that doesn't mean you can't come into the game and somehow become your own branch. There's ways, you know what I mean? But there's no way around the time. You have to put in your time, Jason.
Yes, you do. And honestly, even like my Burmese pythons, I don't personally like chasing projects. I've done that in the past. It's stressful. I buy things that I like. I buy things that have price stabilized. It's just what I like. I do this as a hobby. And when I spend big money, now, don't get me wrong, I did that with rainbow bows this year. I'm spending big money because I'm trying to chase that project, but I don't care if I'm the first. I never want to be like the world's first. Would that be cool? Sure. I don't bash people for producing world's first. Even if I produced a world's first, I probably wouldn't say world's first. It's just not my thing.
Honestly, like, it's kind of a lame thing to say now. Like, but I get it. Like, like, okay, like, I don't know. Like, for instance, I remember I've abused the shit out of that. I think my very first year, I was like, I remember asking 10 people, have you ever heard of this? They're like, nope. I'm like, cool, world first. I'm out.
But everybody did. I think a true world first is like when it's never been made. Like I just made an albino friggin' emerald tree boa. That's a world's first. Now making a 20 gene ball python, I guess it's a world's first because it's never been done. But all you did was take all these other genes and put them together. So I get it. It's totally cool. I'm not bashing those people by any means. But where I was going with this is my Burmese pythons they're the same breeders I had in 2010. Like these are still pre-Lacey Act ban breeders that when everybody was dumping their shit, like I still have my hypos and I have babies from those hypos that I've been perfecting the line. So like my Burms are not the newest, greatest thing. They're $200 to $600 animals. And that's what I produce. And I like producing that. I like that customer base. But, you know, I will price my stuff a little bit higher because if you have a question, I'm going to answer it. If you're a past customer and you're like, hey, my shit's not eating, like I want to figure that out because it was eating when it left. So like, I want to help you. And that's why, you know, people price shop and then I'll get an email from somebody that said, hey, I bought this thing from so-and-so. And I'm like, well, not that I don't want to help you, but you should ask them first because they know all the information. Oh, they won't answer my message. Well, why did you buy from them? Like, because it was $20 cheaper than the animal that I had or the other animal from the other great breeder. Like we got to change our mindset in the hobby. It will always be like that, but I'm ranting now. I'm going way down a rabbit hole.
No, but it's all hold to relevancy, you know, because at the end of the day, like I used to like, fuck, you know, in the beginning of the podcast, that, you know, starting the podcast, I always talked about like, oh, I just got another import. And I would tell people like, I'm getting imports and stuff like that. So people would come to me and ask me, you know, like, oh, like what would be your advice of getting my first chondro? And I would tell them like, you know, fuck, I would get a Captain Born and bred. If you want a good experience, find a breed. And it would either be too much money or there's a wait list. Okay. And so they're like, you know, hey, I do you know this person? And they'll ask me, they'll find a listing of quote unquote US CBB. And I'm like, if they're not showing you pictures of the parents, if they're not showing you pictures of the eggs, like this is why I do love the chondro game, because if you're claiming that you bred that animal, you could fucking pop up pictures like nothing. Like you can't go dance around that anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when these people would be like, no, they don't have pictures. I'm like, well, then don't do it. And they would do it and boom, it would die. And I would like, I fucking told you, like, what, like, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Like some people just got to learn, bro. And just because it happens doesn't mean it's the end of the world, bro. How many times have you been fucked over, Jason?
Yeah. Well, and that's it, dude. Like I'm not bashing these people by any means. I've done the exact same shit that I'm like, man, I wish these people wouldn't do this.
We all go through it.
Like anybody who gets into this hobby is going to do that. So I would never, when I say this stuff, I hope people don't think like I'm bashing them, like never bashing a person that is making mistakes. Like I made every one of them. That's why I produce the videos that I do. And again, they may not be the most exciting videos, but I hope the content's there where people can learn from them. And that's what I try to focus on. But it's learning, teaching from the shit that I did incorrectly. Like this, I know we're way in too far to go into a boa feeding, but the way people promote boa feeding, I've done it. It's going to kill your animals. Not in 2
big
years,
time.
not in 5 years.
Big time.
It is going to kill your animals if you, and in a different way where people are feeding their shit like once every 2 to 3 months. Like that's too far to feed your animals once every 2 to 3 months. Like that's going to cause problems in 10 years. They're feeding their babies, I think, too far apart. I am a big advocate for actually feeding weekly as babies. And now,
and what about as adults though? Go and just say real quick. What do you feed for the most part? What are the adults on?
It is hard because I breed. So breeding and keeping are two totally different feeding schedules. Right. So, but typically, so like my adult females, I will feed like an adult female, something that somebody may say, I'm going to feed it a rabbit, like a big ass rabbit. I might feed like a large or an XL rat. So it barely puts a lump, and I'm going to feed it every 2 to 3 weeks going into breeding season. During breeding season, maybe some of them not at all. And some of them every, 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how big of a lump. My males, I would usually extend another week. None of my snakes usually go more than a month without eating. at any point, even during breeding season, unless they refuse themselves. And then in that case, I'll skip it. But it's I think that the stuff that's published right now takes too much of the wild into account, and there's nothing wild about my room right now. You know, this rack, there's nothing wild about this. It's a totally different thing. And what happened was there was a Burmese python study feeding chart that went around that showed that when you feed a Burmese python or when you feed the snakes, a significant body chemistry takes over, their heart enlarges, all these organs enlarge. But in that text, I believe it said you're feeding something that's 25% of the snake's body weight. So that means that like a 40-pound boa is getting a 10-pound rabbit, which is, it's huge. A 10-pound rabbit is like the size of this bottle of bleach.
It's big.
You know, so like that's what that study was based on. If you're feeding it a 1-pound rat, that's very different than a 10-pound rabbit. You cannot feed the same way. So I think people are looking too much for guides and templates, and they need to look at the animal. You should know, I mean, you know what a healthy boa looks like. You know what a healthy Burmese python or reticulate.
Yeah, and, you know, and I've seen an obese boa before. I've seen like a not so healthy one, and it's sad, bro, to see them that sluggish and big. It's like, whoa, I've seen it. It's not cool.
No, I mean, feeding's a hard topic because it's so dependent on, are you breeding? What's your setup? How big's your cage? What are your temperatures? It's super dependent.
Right.
And I put out like a feeding guideline video, and even that I hate it because it's not perfect. It's not perfect.
No, but that's a guideline wrapped around for you. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know your animals, like it's just different. Like demographically too, I feel like not that has like the impact as far as the dieting, but like the behavior. Like every animal is going to be acting different depending on where you're at. You know what I mean? And that's why it's like, I don't care who your friends are. I don't care how much YouTube you watch. Nothing's going to teach you better than experience. Like you have to fucking just figure it out. That's it.
Yeah. I have 2 animals, could be side by side, exact same setup, totally different feeding schedules. They're just different animals.
Different.
They could be from the same litter. Different animals. They're just different. They grow differently. They digest differently. Different animals. You could have a fat brother, you know, people.
For real. I think about it. I'm like, dude, how many different types of people are there? Hello? Like,
they're all related, right?
Bro, you see somebody who doesn't look like they could eat a lot, but they could eat a lot. How the fuck did they do that? How can they, and their metabolism, like it's just, dude, humans and animals very similar when it comes to digestive, if not the same. Like it's like the same fucking shit, and they're all different strokes for different folks. Like it just depends on the person and the animal. Like you got to figure that out.
So again, you know, feeding's a whole rabbit hole of stuff that could go on for 2 hours. It's but we won't go down there, but it basically look at your animals.
But I can't help but to ask, are you a mice guy as far as for hatchings, or do you go straight to rats?
I always do mice. I do mice.
For how long?
Until they hit small rats. So basically I will feed like extra large jumbo mice probably for like the first 6 months to a year. I'm in no rush to get them big. Okay. So when people say slow grow, I slow grow, but I don't feed at like
large meals
intervals. I just feed small meals.
Right.
And I feel like, and I actually years ago, I made a video on it where one animal I fed, I think it was every 2 weeks, and one animal I fed every 7 days. And the animals I fed every 2 weeks physically looked different. They looked like slugs, like their body structure was different. The larger meal versus the leaner meal. And they look different. So I feed it, but I know so many people who feed, you know, rats right out of the gate and they have no problems. Rats will get your animals larger faster. Without a doubt, you can take an animal, feed it rats versus mice, and that animal that ate the rats will be almost double the size in the same amount of time.
Jason, what about for anyone out there? Because this is the truth, right? Some people inquire an animal that's already overweight and they're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? So is it okay to like if they've been on rats, is it okay to give them mice to kind of like lean them out for a little bit? Like how would you recommend leaning out an adult that's overweight? So
an adult, I basically, like, my ideal prey size is something that barely puts a lump in the animal. Okay. So like you could feed the snake and you wouldn't even know. Now, do I practice what I preach? Not always. I might give a snake something. I'm like, damn, that was way too big. That thing looked like it ovulated. Like that's huge. But I'll note, like, all right, that snake's going to wait longer between feedings. So if you have an overweight animal, I say you just feed it normal, but feed it smaller prey sizes. So just feed it something a little, no different than with people. Like if you have a fat person, you're not going to, I hate using that, an obese person will be politically correct. If you have me, if I'm going on a diet because I need to lose some weight, right? I'm not going to starve myself all day. I'm just going to eat smaller portions throughout the day. And I feel like the same thing with snakes. Like you're going to feed them the same way, just smaller portions, and they'll lose weight in time. You don't want to do any drastic changes. You don't want to starve them. You don't want to, just same feeding schedule, smaller portions throughout their cycle.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like there's so many different ways about it, but I don't know, man. I know from people who do really well with getting their ball pythons, like, especially males. Like I got people who are, doing this, not in a unhealthy way either, but they could get their males to breed easily within the first year because they get up to size. And what they do is more frequent, smaller meals. I know people who feed every 5 days, but it's nothing big. It's just frequent, and it's, I mean, you got to think about how healthy, like I knew somebody who basically had the worst eating schedule, would basically eat at one time during the day, but like really bad stuff. And if you look at somebody who eats like that, their body, they don't really look healthy. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like there's a lot of things to just kind of consider with that. And you're right. We could go down another fucking 3 hours talking about this shit.
There's two extremes. There's underfeeding, there's overfeeding, and then there's that balance that is different for every animal. And I use the analogy, like if I ate a grape every 5 minutes, I'm going to be really friggin' full after a while. If I just continue to eat a grape every 5 minutes all day long, that's like the equivalent of overfeeding. Even though you're feeding small meals, it's too frequent. But if I eat a grape every half hour, I'm probably going to be hungry. So maybe I need to eat something, I don't know, strawberry every half hour. I don't know. It's finding that balance. It's if you are eating and constantly feeding this snake, then it doesn't get itself a chance. And that study where their organs and stuff changes is true. The duration of where it changes, I think, based purely on my observations and no scientific evidence like they had in that paper. But I would be interested in seeing them do that same study with smaller meals, as opposed to this meal that puts this prey in it, this snake that where it can barely move. What happens if you just feed it something that is small? What would happen? Does the whole physiological condition of the body change? I would think it would not, at least not for 2 weeks till it went back to baseline. But look at people. If I go eat 3 pounds of bacon and a cheeseburger and all this shit, I'm going to feel like shit for like 3 days. But if I eat a piece of bacon, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to feel like shit. Maybe I'll feel like shit for an hour, but I don't know. I'm going to eat some bacon tomorrow for breakfast. I'll let you know.
That sounds good right now, actually, but I'm not going to lie, bro. I ate Jack in the Box today. I'm not too happy with myself, but I had fast food just because, I have a lot of stress, like good stress. Like, I just bought a house and like there's other things happening. Yeah. So I just like, when I get in that mode, nothing makes me happier than fast food. I'm not, I hate to say it, but there's certain fast food to where if I'm in this position in life and I can't really think straight, man, a good old fucking cheeseburger with bacon on it just makes me feel really, really happy. And then I kind of hate myself, of course. And then I'm like, God damn it. You know what I mean? Especially the way I order, bro. Like I order way more than I can eat, especially if I'm in that mode, I just don't give a fuck. I just don't, I'm not proud of it, but I'm just like, it's my coping mechanism. It's story of America.
I'm with you, dude, but I don't feel bad at the end of it. I'm like, man, that was a damn good cheeseburger. I'm proud about that one.
No, but I have that. There's a saying, my buddy, my best man, Josh, we like, man, we would party so hard to where we wouldn't eat for a while. And then we would eat and we would eat till we hate ourselves. And it was kind of like, it was kind of like a saying. It was kind of like a good, you feel good. Like, it's like you but you're like, holy shit, did I eat that much? You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck did I just do?
I love it, dude. That's freaking awesome. I'm hungry right now. I got to go eat something.
Yeah. So listen, we have a wrap up topic before we get into some hot seat questions. And I'm just curious with everything you've been through in the reptile game. What have you done to cure such things as like RI? Have you ever gone through the IBD thing? Anything like that you could kind of like give us an awareness on?
Yeah, I mean, IBD is hard. I think it's thrown around a lot. And I think a lot of those viruses are thrown around too much. Just based on my experience, I haven't done a whole lot of testing personally, but I can tell you that I can almost guarantee you that an animal's not going to show symptoms of IBD or NIDO or any of that in the first year. So people who have babies dying, it probably isn't due to viruses and diseases. It's probably due to keeping, or it could just be the animal was unhealthy and not thriving to begin with. Just like people, there's animals that are not going to, people are not all going to live to 80 years old. There's people are going to die in all phases, from, unfortunately very young children through, midlife. And that's the fact. So just because your animal died early or had something going wrong with it early doesn't mean it didn't have a bad liver or a heart or some type of a kidney problem. And that could have been why the animal passed, or it could have been shit keeping on your part too. But that's, so I'd say that's one piece. And then in terms of, respiratory infections, it's really hard to find good vets, to be honest. When you find a good vet, keep them close. But I've never been able to find an excellent vet. So I usually, I've had a couple vets and they give me some prescriptions for random medicines. So for instance, Tylenol is something you can get in most farm feed stores. I usually use Tylenol if there's BOAs. Flagyl, Baytril, I don't seem to really work very well. But these are, Flagyl seems to kick the hell out of whatever respiratory infection burms usually get. For some reason, where Tylenol is almost non-responsive, different types of bacteria. Okay. I'm not the medical guy. I'm very fortunate that I don't have really sick animals in what I have. And what I do, if I do, I really don't take any chances. I don't do the if it sneezes, it freezes technique. But at the same time, I don't go to that extreme. But there is a point where you say, okay, there's something could be wrong with this animal. And I don't take chances, because that could pass to other breeders, that could pass to my babies, and then I pass it to my customers. So I take very, very little chances with animals that are acting weird at all. I just don't. I just can't take that chance to give somebody a sick snake.
And so I will say to capitalize on that, because you nailed it. But Jason, that being said, if you have a collection that has no issues and everything's going well and you want to add more, you need to separate that shit. Like it's just not worth it. And I feel like what you haven't dealt with most other people is because your shit's locked in. You're closed off. You have, and if you do add something new, you have a system that you stick to. People need to find their system, bro. They need to find out that system that keeps their shit healthy. And that way, when you do have that one sick animal, it's just that one sick animal. It's not your whole collection.
Yeah, and I don't take chances from when I buy animals. I buy from select people. I'll pay the money for those animals from those people. I do not price shop anymore. And I have in the past. I totally have. So I can't fault people for that. But if there's an animal that's at a discount, if it's from somebody I know and I trust, I'll buy it from them. But if it's at like a reptile show and it's like too good to be true, I have nothing to do. I don't even want to hold that animal. It's tempting. I do, because I know the price, but I just don't want to have anything to do with it. I can't take that chance. It's not worth it for me. So I only buy from people who I trust at this point. And that could be new keepers. It could be very older, experienced keepers. But I only buy from people I trust now. Because of that, I've been burnt. I've lost a lot of animals because I took a chance to save like $50. And I should have just spent the extra $150 and bought something superior from somebody else. So that's my mindset on that. Is prevention is the best thing. Quarantine is necessary, and then you shouldn't have any issues.
And shortcuts is like AIDS. You're gonna die if you take shortcuts.
Gonna wrap it up.
All right, listen. Great episode, Jason. This was an amazing time. 2 hours. 22 minutes went by very, very fast. I'm not gonna lie.
It really did. Wow. I gotta go to bed. It did.
Listen, okay. Listen, hot seat questions before we let you depart. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, real quick. I haven't asked once for you guys to hit the likes during the whole episode, and we are at how many likes are we at? Holy shit, over 90 likes. That's what I'm talking about, man. Dude, and we had over 100 people tapped in for this episode, just so you know. So this was great. This was great. But guys, get the likes up if you haven't already. Hot seat questions for Jason. Jason, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Coming in hot. Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought.
A cut or no cut?
I don't understand the question.
Would you ever cut an egg or would you never cut an egg?
Absolutely. I let them pip and then I'll cut.
Okay, respect. Red chondro neo or yellow chondro neo?
Oh, Red.
Favorite species of boa?
Longicata.
Nice. To spray or mist a boa constrictor, or to never spray or mist a boa constrictor?
Always spray and mist.
God
During
bless.
certain times of the year. During certain times
Right.
of the year.
But hatchlings too, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Yay imports or boo imports?
Boo imports for most people. Yay imports for very specific select reasons.
Jason, that's cute, but no, that's not how it works.
I know.
If you were in charge of the fucking legislations all around the country, if you could make the decision yes or no on imports, what would you say?
Yay imports.
What's one reptile you would import to your collection, no matter what it was, anywhere around the world? What would it be?
Oh shit. I don't know. I have everything I like.
I love that.
I don't know. I have everything I like.
Come on, dig deep, bro. Dig deep. You got something you would. It could be a fucking dream animal. We could be a monitor, like whatever. Like just think outside the box here. Come on.
I've had everything I like. Shit. I don't know. More Peruvian boas.
Okay. What about one reptile no one should ever import? Leave it alone. Don't touch it.
Shit. Shingleback skinks.
Oh wow, respect. Okay. Yay sports or boo sports?
Boo sports.
Oh wow. Okay. Steak or fish?
Steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
Ribeye.
Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Van Halen.
Yes.
Yes.
Jesus. Some people. I've had a couple Sammys, and I'm like, how? Like, what the fuck? You got to be kidding me.
You gotta get them. Yeah, they're not allowed back on.
You need them together. Hey, West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
Oh shit, East Coast. I don't know. East Coast.
Favorite East Coast rapper? I'm gonna ask you. Fuck it.
Biggie.
Yes, it was all a dream. Hey, it's really hard. I mean, you can't go wrong with Biggie, bro. Don't be mad. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, that's what it came down to. It came down to that. I'm like, that's pretty damn solid.
Little word association. First thing to come to mind: milk.
Milk. First thing to come to mind: milk.
Yeah. Cocoa.
Like carton of milk.
Cocoa.
Cocoa. Puffs.
Substrate.
I'm terrible at this. Cocoa.
Okay. FedEx shipping.
Ship your reptiles.
First time boa breeder.
Zach Cohen.
U.S. Ark.
Excellent.
If you had to get rid of one social media platform forever, and I mean forever, never coming back, is it going to be Facebook or Instagram? Which one has to go?
Instagram.
What the fuck, Jason? Yeah. Dude, after all the toxic, all the goddamn shit on the Facebook groups, you're going to just do that to Instagram. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because Instagram does not contribute to that. Instagram is about everybody self-promoting, and I think Facebook has groups that can at least help in the right form.
I think it's time I pour myself a drink. Holy
I know. I wasn't prepared.
I have this thing now. It's cocktail hour. It's my wind up. But guys, listen, you just fucking nailed that hot seat question like a stuck pig. So good job on that, Jason. What do you have to say to your loyal supporters like myself, the people who've been rocking with you all these years, but more importantly, all the 100 people who tapped in for this live? What do you have to say to everyone out there?
I would say this has been an awesome episode. I appreciate you, MJ, for doing this in general. I appreciate everybody in the hobby who was sticking around, who tuned in and tuned back out, and just keep supporting each other. That's what it's all about. We're here for fun, and this is a passion of ours. And it needs to stay that way, and we need to change the toxic community. We just need to keep supporting each other, like each other's posts, watch each other's stuff, and share it, and we'll all grow together. And this is going to be an awesome hobby in 10 more years.
Okay, last curveball. Since you're talking this energy right now, in the future, let's just say I wanted to bring you back, and it was me, you, and I don't know, Donnie. Would you ever be down for that? Us three?
I'm 1,000% ready. We'll do it tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, but I'm ready. Honestly, I had so much fun on this tonight. This is definitely by far the best one I've been on, and this was just fun. The energy is great. The people in the comments. I wish I saw this comment bubble sooner. It's been a lot of fun. I would be on this again in a second.
Well, thanks for making it fun. And that's a wrap for Jason of Jason's Exotic Reptiles, ladies and gentlemen.
This is great. I appreciate it again. This is awesome. This is a lot of fun.
Hey, you're the man, bro. Thank you so much, Jason. We'll talk soon. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. Thank you so much, Jason.
Awesome. Let's do it again.
Have a good night. Wow, what a guy. What a great episode. Cheers to you guys out there. Hang tight. Got some good news for everyone out there. I just kind of want to reflect on the episode. That was a really, really good episode. Ooh, man, I waited 2.5 hours for that sip. That was a really good episode. I'm going to celebrate tonight for a lot of reasons, okay? Listen, that was a great episode. Excited for that. I'm also excited because I'm very passionate about what I do. Other than the animals, the fact that I'm able to talk to all you beautiful people out there and I have the support that I have, and there's people in my DMs constantly telling me how much I've motivated them, I can't help but to start using the resources around me. And I have a lot of great resources. I have people out there who really look after me and people who are just really just, in my ear in the right way. So because of that, I'm so excited to kind of share what's to come here on this channel. First and foremost, I don't want to say, I know I just went through a brand change and this is still the trap, but now Reptiles is involved with the title of this podcast. So this podcast, you're going to start hearing me say this is the Trap Talk Reptiles podcast. So if anyone out there is like, why does he keep saying that? Because that's what the name of this podcast is moving forward. Okay. It's going to be a lot easier for people in the reptile game to look this up. So if you could kind of jump on the bandwagon with me on this and start remembering that reptile is now part of the title, right? So Trap Talk Reptile Podcast right here. Okay. First and foremost. And that's not even part of the excitement that I want to share. Okay. But, man, there's so much growth coming into the industry, no matter where we're at, there's still a lot of growth coming in nonstop. And there's a lot of people out there who are seeking information. A lot of people who just are so like, man, if it's one thing I can never stop forgetting Forrest tell me when he was around was like, dude, MJ, you're so like, your energy reminds me when I first started, like you're so brand new. And like that brand new energy, man, I feel like I want to hold on to. And I feel like a lot of people out there should hold on to that brand new energy that they have when they come into this industry, because when you have that brand new energy, your excitement stays fresh. Like you're always pumped up. Like I'm always pumped up because I figure out things to be pumped up about, right? My animals, number one, pumps me up the most. I wake up every morning. I come in this room, do my thing, and then go to the trap like my animals. It's number one, right? This podcast pumps me the fuck up. My Patreon members, my viewers, my support pumps me the fuck up. I love this shit. So I always want to make sure I am using the resources I possibly have around me to continue the growth that I have here. So with that being said, guys, I want to let you guys know every Friday, I hope, if it's every Friday, but it is going down tomorrow. I got to tell you this, okay? There's a collaboration happening that's going to be gifted. Yeah, it's a gift. This collaboration is going to be gifted to the reptile industry, because if it's one thing the reptile industry needs is, I don't know, weekly updates, like what's happening, what's going on and whatnot. I don't know. I think it's important, especially with people who are really tapped in. Think about the people who are on the inside of things. Or think about the like crazy shit that happens in Florida or in any state, mind you, right? There's this shit that happens and pops up that I feel like is important for people to kind of be aware about. Now, mind you, this is all positivity. Like, this isn't anything but positive awareness and just more stuff for us to be excited to be doing what we do. Okay. So with that being said, I hope you guys are ready, because tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I hope you guys are ready for the very first installment of, what did we say? I forgot. At first I was like, what are we going to call it? Guys, this is going to be the Reptile Community Roundup. That's right. Every Friday it's going down 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time with your boy MJ. And
hop from the hop to the club spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the club spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the club spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
The collab is real, guys. I hope you guys are ready. Me and Donnie Rapture are going to be going live here on the Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. I hope you guys are ready because we're going to be bringing shit fresh to you guys every single week. What a way to start off your weekends. Friday, the Trap is coming for you, baby. Thank you so much. Everyone out there, go give me a follow on Instagram, Trap Talk God 619. Go follow the Facebook page as well, Trap Talk Podcast. If you're looking for exclusive content, don't look further than joining the Trap Talk Patreon family. Very first link that you see in the description below. Come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Support the Trap if you like. And yes, I love you guys so much. Again, this episode is brought to you by the freshest fucking sponsor I have currently, my boy Gary Shavino from GS Reptiles. Head over to YouTube, subscribe, follow on Instagram. This guy's YouTube content is unmatched. His personality definitely unmatched. One of the funniest, sickest players in the reptile game, hands down. And yes, guys, have a good night. Jason, so much. I appreciate this episode so much. And guys, again, hit that like button for my man Jason if you have it. And I'll catch you guys on the next tomorrow. It's Friday, baby. I'm out. Cheers.